You know what's funny, Sam?
What's that?
2 weeks ago, I would have told you, no, I'm not a Disney guy. I'm not a Mickey guy.
You were just there.
I got now a Mickey sweatshirt and a Mickey keychain. Am I officially a Disney/Mickey guy now?
I think you might be. Did they turn you there when you were over at Walt Disney?
It was fun. It was
Good
fun.
time.
I'm in. I'm in on the Disney craze to a point.
Well, what did you do there?
A little bit of everything.
Like, did you hit the Epcots and the Magic Kingdom?
Did Magic Kingdom, and that was where it was magical, my friend. That's where they hooked me into it, and they pumped it through my veins.
What's the big ride there? I'm trying to remember.
They got holes.
Space Mountain. The
There
Space
you go,
Mountain.
Space Mountain.
It's been a while.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been a while.
And a good afternoon, everybody. Sam Oshtry from The Score. I am Sean Brace. This is the Daily Ticket on a Thursday. A lot going on in the sports world. I know it's mandatory. Everybody on Sports Talk Radio opens up their show by saying exactly that, or a podcast. But folks, we are in the middle of the anarchy as we are fast approaching to Sunday Selection Sunday, where we will all be breaking out the brackets, trying to find who will have the path that will lead them to 6 straight victories over the next month. We do have some hiccups. We do have some turbulence right now in the world of college basketball, and I think that might be underplaying it just a tad bit. Of course, we are going to open up with the big story in sports, and if you missed it, around about an hour and a half, actually it was around 12:30. Around 12:30, Duke taking on Georgia Tech, trailing in the first half. Cooper Flagg could very well be the player of the year, could very well defensive player of the year. All ACC, anything and everything Cooper Flagg has been to the Duke Blue Devils and college basketball as a whole. He goes up for a rebound, comes down, all weight on his left ankle, and that thing bent like it's not supposed to bend. And next thing you know, he is getting wheeled into the X-ray room. Sam Oshtry, I was unable to keep up with the latest report. I assume X-rays came back negative because Cooper Flagg was found or was pictured on the bench in the second half when Duke came back to win the game against Georgia Tech.
X-rays came back negative, which of course is a good thing. He came back on the bench, was rooting on his teammate. Duke ends up picking up the 8-point win. A lot of swelling in the ankle, apparently, though. So X-rays come back negative. You got to see that swelling go down before you can get MRIs on it.
Ooh.
But you assume the best at this point. Look, it kind of reminded me of the Jalen Brunson ankle sprain from about a week and a half ago. That was where the whole thing just twisted and it looked ugly. Obviously, had to be helped off the court. Didn't look good.
Very similar.
But that Jalen Brunson ankle sprain, he's only supposed to be out around 2 weeks, and he'll be evaluated after 2 weeks. And of course, at this point, when the Knicks have the 3 seed and the playoffs are approaching, you're going to be cautious and patient with a guy like Jalen Brunson. The Duke Blue Devils do not have the luxury of being patient right now. They need Cooper Flagg back as soon as possible. Of course, he'll be out the rest of the ACC tournament. We'll see how that plays out the rest of the weekend. But now we're talking about an opening game against the 16 seed, either next Thursday or Friday, and whether he'll be back for that game. Again, X-rays negative is a good thing. You got to wait for that swelling to go down to get an MRI, and then we'll see and go from there.
Flagg is about as important as it gets to any team. And I do want to put the emphasis on this more than anything. Like, I could, as always, we are all fired up for the tournament. We all have our idea of who's going to cut down the nets, potentially who could. There's so many questions that we come into a tournament with, and we all, it's fun answering them and filling out the brackets. That's for everybody, no doubt. But I love the stories that what makes up March Madness, and whether it is the Sister Jean or whether it is the
She's still alive,
Yeah, she's still kicking,
still going, barely.
Yeah, well, it's impressive. I'll take that right now. Whether it's the underhand free throws, stupid stuff always pops up. So I love a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, you want your best players out there as well. And Cooper Flagg missing any time would not be a good thing. Now, to your point, looking into your crystal ball, is it that we know Duke will be a 1 seed? We know that they will be facing off against a 16 seed. It's happened. But if you are Coach Shire here, is that something that's going through your mind like, hey, look, it's not about that game? You're sitting for that game.
You got to see how the swelling goes down over these next few days. It'll probably be a 1 to 2 week timeline. Typically, I don't know if they'll label as that, but I assume this injury will be out about 1 to 2 weeks typically. But you don't have that luxury, like I said earlier. So you have an opening game against 16 seed Thursday or Friday. I assume they're going to get him ready to go. I don't know if he's necessarily going to play that opening game, but they're going to get him ready to go for that first game against the 16 seed. Now that I'm thinking about it a little more, it probably is smart to sit Cooper Flagg in against the 16 seed, but he'll be playing next weekend. I'm pretty confident of that, unless it's a serious injury that maybe the MRIs come back and they're ugly. He's going to be playing next weekend in the opening weekend to try to get to the Sweet 16, whether it's in that second matchup against the 8-9 team, or maybe even if it progresses really well in that first game to kind of get his feel and comfort back, because you don't want him going into a difficult matchup his first game back when he's obviously going to be wearing an ankle brace. He might be limping on it. You don't want that to be his first matchup back where he's getting used to that bum ankle that he's now going to be playing on for the rest of his college career, really. So I don't know exactly how it's going to progress. What we saw, though, from Duke at the end of that game, really in that second half when they escaped with that 8-point victory, was a lot of Con Knippel. The offense really started revolving around him. And
28 points.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
Oh,
a lot of ball screens. Yeah, he's a shooter, but I don't think people really realized how great he is. Pick? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. Just because he's a prolific shooter, but I don't think people realize how he can play on the ball as well, too. He was ball screen after ball screen. He was just dominating, making the right reads from what I caught in the second half against Georgia Tech. So you can kind of last against the 16 seed playing with that, but more bad injury news for Duke is Malik Brown, a pretty big bench player for them. He relocated his shoulder, redislocated his shoulder in that game and was taken to the hospital. So I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
That's not the injury to the extent that Cooper Flagg is, because he obviously comes off the bench. But still, the guy's just getting hurt for Duke. Not a great showing on this the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament.
Their first game.
Yeah. Yep. Their first game of postseason.
I do believe we haven't had any movement. So as far as the injury is concerned, both of those injuries, it's plus 360. Essentially, that's what Duke was, 340 last week. Auburn's plus 350. They've been going back and forth, back and forth. I do think we will see significant movement in the number once these conference tournaments get done and the field gets cut down. How much? I'm not sure. Going back to some of my conversations in the offseason, because I was pretty adamant about how dominant Duke was going to be this season. I know a lot of people were. But that was the one that screamed the loudest to me this season. I thought that Duke was a very real possibility to cutting down the nets. And I don't remember too many times that I'm screaming that out in July.
Yeah. And
I think I even bit off a little bit more than I could chew with that statement, because I thought they were going to be a little bit more explosive. They were dominant 28-3, no doubt about it. Cooper Flagg was as great as advertised, understood. But here we are right now, back and forth. Auburn right now, Duke plus 360, Auburn plus 350. And again, that ship has sailed. But at the same time, from those two teams' perspective, when these tournaments come, when the bracket comes out on Sunday, that number, what do you think happens to that number? That number is going to go down to what? 280, 293?
Yeah, something like that. I think Auburn's going to be the favorite because of this injury now.
Absolutely.
I think they've been so dominant. We'll see how
they'll be the one overall seed.
Yeah, they'll be the one overall seed for sure. But I still think the Duke will be in that East region because they'll be the 2 overall seed, regardless of how this injury plays out. But there's going to be uncertainty around Duke, so you can't make them the favorite because of this injury. We're really not going to know up from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week what Cooper Flagg's status is. The thing is, remember, this guy is a generational prospect. I mean, these guys come around more frequently for Duke than other programs, but this guy's a generational prospect,
he's insane.
Locked to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. That has to be a consideration when he's deciding to come back or not. If he re-injures the ankle and makes it a more serious injury, maybe he breaks his ankle. If I'm a franchise, I'm still taking him because of how good he is. But that's got to be consideration where he could slip in the draft potentially if it's like a broken ankle and he won't even be ready for the start of next season. So that's got to be a consideration. I think Cooper Flagg is a baller. He's a dog. His mentality, his fierceness as a competitor on the court, he's going to want to come back and he's going to want to play on a bum ankle because that's just who he is and his character. And that's why he's really a generational prospect and why teams love him and he'll be the number 1 pick in the draft. So I think he'll try to come back as soon as possible.
Sure.
But it's got to be consideration of re-injuring this thing for the draft coming up.
It's fair. It's the world we live in, and it's the way that they should all be looking at something like this. This situation is not something to take lightly. For crying out loud, my guy was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Now, I think
Paul Pierce wheelchair.
Yeah, a little bit more of a injury, though, I think, than Paul Pierce. But I do love the timeline. People are like looking like he's getting the hang of the Sixers thing already as he's getting wheeled out. It's perfect. No, but to your point about, hey, look, you got to be smart, and the draft is right around the corner. You know, I still think teams would probably take him number 1 overall, even if he had to lose his foot, like old man Ball.
Yeah. The whole thing amputated.
Yes, exactly. I'm still taking Cooper Flagg with one leg out there. I don't care. But it is something that he will definitely be thinking about. Anyways, I did see Shire speak to the media, and our own Ryan Beef Coyle said that it was good news that what he was able to say as far as in that press conference. He sprained his ankle, x-rays are negative, which is great. We'll have to see how he recovers, and he goes from there, close quote. But bottom line is, big news of the day, Cooper Flagg goes down with a major ankle injury. How severe is it? We don't know, but he was unable to return to the game. He did come out to the bench, joining his teammates, cheering his teammates on. But, man, it just was not a good thing, period, in the story from just a college basketball fan, March Madness fan.
Yeah.
And I saw that text come in our group chat, and I just stopped. My jaw hit the floor. I'm like, what? No.
Not him.
Now, here's the question, though, Sam, and I was joking about this as well in the group text. Why are we playing these? Why are we playing conference tournaments?
I think they matter.
I love conference. They don't matter, though. Seeding is done on Fridays.
Okay, not for seeding.
Okay.
For program pride. Like if I'm a fan of Maryland. You know that.
I'm
fan
a
of Maryland.
fan of conference tournament action too.
I want Maryland to win the conference tournament. It matters to me. I want them to be Big Ten champions. Cutting down a net, saying you're a champion is something to hang your hat on. Not everyone goes to the Final Four. Not everyone wins a national title. It is really hard to accomplish. If you lose in the Sweet 16 or even the Elite Eight, you can say, all right, we won our conference championship.
Does it add up to a regular season championship? Isn't it like under a tier, a significant tier below?
Significant tier?
Yes.
No, it's
winning a conference tournament with what, 4 games?
It depends if you get the double bye. If you're Maryland, it'll be 3 games because they get the double bye.
I get if you're not making the tournament, it's a different ball game, right? Like you're obviously locked into the bid.
Of course you have
no doubt about that. But if you're a team like Duke, well, what's the gain over a conference tournament?
If you're, it's different based on the conference you're in. Duke plays in a horrific ACC. They lost 1 game in the conference.
Okay,
they should not care about their conference tournament because they have bigger goals. If you're in a conference like the Big Ten or the SEC, when it is a dogfight every single night, you have double-digit teams in your conference making the NCAA tournament. That matters if you can come out on top in a tournament with 14 teams who are real good teams. Like you're only playing good teams night in and night out, and you come out on top in a great conference. That means something. That's a banner that hangs. Like that. It is. It's not the winning the whole thing, but it's a banner that hangs, and it's important.
So we're risking Cooper Flagg or name the player, his health in a tournament that we all care about.
What should Duke do? Just punt it. Like not sit down. I mean, you have to play them. Obviously, the conferences need the revenue.
I think. Okay, well, that's you're right, because that's a conversation goes to the college football, right?
Yes, but
where that's the only reason why they're playing is because of revenue.
Yes, but for this, it's not just revenue is probably the biggest part, but it's also automatic bids matter. Like it's cool when teams make a run. Like Georgetown won the Big East the other year after just rallying off 4 or 5 straight wins. NC State, they had no business being in the tournament.
Sure,
they won the ACC tournament and then make the Final Four.
Okay,
those stories are cool. You don't have that without conference tournaments.
So again, we're talking about 2 different teams, though, or 2 different perspectives here. We're talking about one, Duke, who is obviously a 1 seed, the second overall number 1 seed in the tournament, have nothing to gain other than a banner. You want to talk about something for a program's perspective, I think it would be more valuable to play the other guys versus your stars that you need come next week once March Madness officially gets here.
But it's still, you're playing on a
I'm playing at devil's advocate.
But you're playing,
just so you know.
You're learning something about your teams. You're playing on a neutral court. You're playing, it's every day you're playing, but when in the tournament, you're playing, you play on a Thursday or Friday, then you play on a Saturday or Sunday. So it's not a lot of rest. You're playing on a neutral court, fierce atmosphere, postseason basketball. Like you're learning something about your team as you go through these early conference tournaments to get ready for them.
You've been playing since October. You're still learning about your team.
It's different when you're playing in Cameron Indoor Stadium or you're playing in ACC environments.
Or you're playing in Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if it was in Greensboro, you might have me, okay? And that's another thing. Put it back in Greensboro, damn it.
Yeah, that was great when the ACC tournament was there.
Yes.
But I still think they matter. Like for Duke, if they win or lose, Duke fans won't really care about the ACC tournament. But that's a unique story and unique program because the conference is so bad this year. Other conferences, these things matter. So you're not just going to punt it.
Should this have ever crossed Shire's mind?
I bet it did. I bet it did. But it's like, again, you're not going to punt it because what if you don't win the whole thing or you don't make the Final Four? You still would rather say, we won the ACC regular season championship. We won the ACC tournament. That's something to hang out on. That's something to show boosters. Do they really care? No, because they want you to have March success in the big tournament. But it's something to show these guys and show your fan base because most teams aren't going to win the whole thing. But who is on your side as we're watching this electric game? Arkansas is up 1 on Ole Miss with a minute to go. And I have Arkansas plus 4.5.
Yes.
Cal agrees with you.
Coach Cal.
He said the other day, he was like, what do I care? All those years I was in Kentucky, we didn't care about winning the SEC tournament
whatsoever.
We cared about cutting down the big nets.
If you ever approached a Kentucky fan about winning the SEC championship, what would they have done to you? They would laugh at you.
Yeah, so
they laugh at you.
Everyone's perspective is different based on your program's history, based on your standing in the national conversation among college basketball fans and programs. So everyone's different. For Dukes and Kentuckys, it may not matter. For a program like Maryland, who hasn't won a national championship in 2002 and has been largely irrelevant for the last few years on the national scene, winning the Big Ten tournament will matter. So it's based on each program.
I know that this will be a discussion on every radio show, television show, and yes, I know that I brought it up and I joked in a joking manner on our text message group, like, yeah, cancel conference tournaments. I'm not saying to cancel conference tournaments that far. What I am saying is exactly what you brought up. Thank you for helping and making my point with Kentucky. They would never care, and the SEC stunk all those years. They would never give a damn about hanging a banner at the SEC tournament. It was always about winning 6 straight, and if you did not do that, then the season was a failure. It was a failure.
Yeah.
And look, I think all the blue bloods would probably agree with that.
Yeah, Duke's in the same boat.
So Duke, for my money, I think Shire probably, he did have this conversation with this guy. Should we play them? Should we not get him out there? And then now, do you think he's going to have a different perspective moving forward as Duke's head coach, maybe next year and the years to come?
It's not the same, but it's similar in a way to the in-season tournament. It's not really the same at all, actually. But here's why it's similar.
I like it.
It's similar because the whole thing with the in-season tournament is most of those players went out there and said, all right, we're competing for a championship. It may not really matter who wins the in-season tournament. And in fact, it doesn't at all. But you're still going out there competing for a championship. So when we get to this bracket where it's 8 teams, we're going to give it all. We're going to give maximum effort because we're competing for something amongst other teams, and we want to be the best. We don't care what the competition level is. We want to come out the best because these are the best competitors in the world. So everyone in the in-season tournament who makes that 8-team bracket, those teams were all really competing for that in-season tournament championship. And the Bucks ended up winning. It's the same thing here. If you're putting a team out there and you're putting a team out there to compete in a tournament-style competition like this one, you're going to want to compete for the championship. You're not just going to lay over under any circumstance. It may not be as important, but you're not going to lay over. You have a team of competitors. You want to win something. It matters. It means something, even though it's not even close to what it means to cut down the big nets in April at the Final Four. It still means something. And so you want to compete because it's the best competitors in the world, and you put them in a conference tournament champion setting like that, they're going to compete. And I don't think Duke or John Shire will ever have a different approach where it's like, we're going to bench our guys because we have bigger goals. We've never seen it happen in college basketball.
You're right.
We've never seen that happen.
You're right, but it's a new day.
It is.
It's a whole new day. We see things constantly changing in college
sports.
But
who would have done that? A guy like Coach K would have done that. He would have been like, Rick Pitino. Those guys would have done that. They would have been like, we don't care about this conference tournament. We have bigger goals.
And they would have been right.
But then what happens when they lose in the Elite Eight?
No one's remembering. It's like Saquon Barkley sitting for the final game and not getting the 2000 or the all-time leading rushing record. If the Eagles lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs, were you ever going back to that? I know that there's some blowhard idiots on our timeline.
No,
that would have nobody cared. Exactly. So if they go to the Elite Eight and they lose there, I don't think anybody's going back going, well, this is why you should have played in that ACC tournament down there.
But it's still like that's an individual award for Saquon Barkley versus a team accomplishment.
Very true. But in similar strokes, I would just say we're talking about the overall, like Cooper Flagg. I don't have to tell you how special he is. He is the guy. Maybe they should have erred on the side of caution and just said, you know what? We're going to give you a little rest.
Okay, yeah, I could say that.
Let's
maybe
sit you versus Georgia Tech. Let's sit you versus the
maybe
next
lessen his minutes, lessen his workload, lessen his minutes.
I'm sitting.
Sure.
Nice.
But I
wouldn't have played him today.
If you lose the Elite Eight, I still think, look, fans are furious, sure. Yes. I still think it's something that you are hanging a banner for the regular season ACC championship and the conference tournament ACC championship. It's something to hang your hat on. Like when you look at Coach K's resume all the time, it lists how many Final Fours, how many national titles, and then it goes to ACC tournament titles that he has and ACC regular season titles that he has. That is an accomplishment. It's on his resume. It's part of what makes him great.
So let me just say this, and we'll move off of this. Julian Edlow is going to join us at 3:30. We got plenty of spreads to break down, sides, totals, props, all that, conference tournament action. Sam is currently sweating out. You're still up by what? That's what was it? A challenge?
Yeah, I guess. I haven't really been paying attention.
Challenges, dude. These challenges are making me lose my mind in sports. We have to do something about the challenge. There's got to be a challenge clock in every sport. I'm no longer the guy saying just get it right. I am now the guy saying get it right under 60 seconds.
We're off reviews?
Yes. All reviews. Football, basketball, lacrosse, wings games. I know people are probably rolling their eyes at. They literally will go there for 7 minutes. You know, technology, it's pretty good there at the Wells Fargo Center, I promise you. But at the end of the day, I hear the ref talking to the guy that is going back and forth. It's just like, this is mad.
I think it's important to get it right in the last minute or two. Before that, I'm with you.
Let's
just use ref's discretion, because before that, I don't need a review in the second quarter or first half of a game.
No foul. Oh, and one. Wow.
We're going to go to overtime.
All right, so it's 80-79, 20 seconds left, second half. Arkansas currently up by 1 over Ole Miss at this point in time. Now,
we're going to go to overtime.
Sam has a wager on them Hogs. What's the number?
4.5 plus 4.5.
Plus 4.5. All right, why'd you back the Hogs here today?
I was impressed with them yesterday. Obviously, they blew it late in that game.
Yeah,
but I was very impressed with that first half yesterday. I think this team has some momentum coming into this tournament, and they're also on the bubble. Like I think they were pretty on the safe side of the bubble. They were on the right side of the bubble, but they needed a decent tournament run. I think after yesterday, they're in no matter what. If they win today, they're 1,000% in.
Sure.
So this was a desperate tournament for them, desperate times in Nashville, and I thought they were going to come out and pull out. I also think Ole Miss is really overrated.
13 seconds left. They're going to get the final shot. He drives, falls, throws it up off the rim. We got a foul. We got a foul.
Wow.
That's a bailout call.
How did he miss that bunny from 2 feet out?
That's a bailout call from
wow, we got to see the replay.
30,000 feet up. Yeah, before the replay, that looked like they're just let him play. He did go to the ground, though. What do you call it? Intentional?
They're saying it was a flagrant.
Flagrant?
Ole Miss fans are pissed.
What did I miss?
Let's see.
He drives. He falls.
That's a travel, by the way. How do you miss that?
What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know where the foul is.
He jumped on his own player. Look at this. He goes up. He comes down. Where's the foul?
Yeah, I don't see any foul.
What is going on? What are they calling? In that moment of the game, you call a foul? What am I missing?
Yeah, I don't see any foul there. That was also happened in that Pitt game.
Pitt game, correct.
Yeah.
What was your call there?
It was a horrible call.
Yeah.
Horrible call. I didn't have anything in that, so I didn't really care.
Ooh.
Make your free throws.
Ball don't lie. He missed the front end.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
I know it's loud in Nashville too.
Free throw number 2. This is where you prove your worth.
There's Arkansas 16 for 24 from the line in the second half. Make your free throws. It's March.
SEC tournament second round action. Let's go. Arkansas 80. Ole Miss 80. Sam just needs a point here.
And then I honestly prefer Ole Miss to score.
Yeah.
So we don't go to.
They might call a makeup call. You know that might come.
Here we go.
Free throw up. And he missed this.
Christ.
Oh my goodness.
No, I want Ole Miss to score, so I cover.
Final shot for 3.
Make it. Come on. Come on.
Ole Miss hits it. Final shot from half court.
Wow. What cover. What a cover. Coach Cal. Chris Beard and Ole Miss advances.
Wow.
Make your free throws.
Let's go.
Ball don't lie, but Arkansas missing the free throws down the stretch. Wow.
Who's that white boy that came up and hit that
What
three?
what a win
Nice
for Ole
shot.
Miss.
Ole Miss.
Coach Cal, by the way, yesterday, did you see what he did? He deserves this after the move he pulled yesterday. When Arkansas was up 3, and he told his player to intentionally miss the free throw.
Yeah.
With 2.5 seconds left.
Yeah.
He ended up making it.
So
but
stupid.
why in the world would you ever tell your player to intentionally miss
go
it?
Up 4.
Go up 4. The game is literally over.
It's
probably over anyway, but you have no chance of losing
I
up 4.
think Cal gets bored. That's my honest
Yeah, he
take.
says he does things different ways. It's like, all right, there's smart ways and dumb ways to do things.
Putting a bow on the conference tournament action. Just want to say this. There have been, since 1980, 44 national champions. Of those 44, 39 played in conference tournaments. Of those 39, 31 won their conference tournament. That's all well and good. I get it. But just because you don't play your best players doesn't mean you're going to automatically lose. And Cooper Flagg getting a day off here or there. Again, heavy on the revisionist history, heavy on the Thursday morning quarterback. Understood. But come on, man. We got to be thinking a little bit further down the road here. That's all I'm saying. Sam Oshtry from The Score. Hell of a start here on the Daily Ticket. Nice call. 1-0 on the day. Julian Edlow's.
I got news for you when we go back.
What do you got?
Should I hit it with you?
Hit it right now.
Philadelphia 76ers forward Paul George is consulting with doctors this week on treatment options for his groin and knee injuries.
Good.
A decision is expected early next week. It could be a possible procedure. You didn't want to hear that. I didn't need to tell you that.
Well, at the end of the day, yeah. At the end of the day, it's Paul George, whatever.
Not much more to say.
Get the treatment.
Shut everyone down.
We are, I'm counting down the days until we call this a season, which is April 13th, I think is the last day of regular season.
And then early May, the lottery. That's the real Super Bowl. The lottery.
Where we're going to be hopefully landing a guy with ankle injuries, ankle problems. I kid. That's a good problem to have. All right, Julian Edlow on the other side. Fantastic ending to Ole Miss and Arkansas. If you are near a computer, your phone, whatever it may be, go ahead and check the ending there. Great ball game. Nice work by Sam Oshtry on that one. We'll see if we can get an advantage on some of these upcoming games with Julian Edlow on the other side. He joins us from DraftKings Sportsbook. More after this.
Our iHeartRadio Music Awards are coming back Monday, March 17th on Fox.
Celebrating the music and artists you've loved on iHeartRadio over the past year and giving you an exclusive first look at the biggest new songs coming in the summer of 25.
Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish,
Glorilla, Gracie Abrams,
Kenny Chesney,
Money Long,
Nelly.
your host, LL Cool J.
Watch live on Fox Monday, March 17th, starting at 8 p.m.
And listen on iHeartRadio stations across America and the free iHeart app.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Watch our crash lower Providence, Trooper Road at Boulevard to the Generals. On the Schuylkill eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont and Boulevard to South. Westbound Jan approaching University to Vine and Boulevard to Belmont. Vine Expressway tied up both ways. Schuylkill to Broad, 95 northbound back to Girard to Bridge. All right, to tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
If you've been wanting to try Ozempic, go to tryfh.com right now. If Ozempic is effective, Future Health is next level effective. These new reports are saying Future Health is getting 58% better results. Customers are reporting they've lost 35 pounds or more in just a few months. Go now and take the quiz while their 30% off offer is still active. Get started today and you can have meds delivered to your door in 48 hours. That's tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Data based on independent study sponsored by Future Health. Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Roots Picnic is back May 31st and June 1st at the Man in Fairmount Park in Philadelphia.
Hold on, wait a minute.
D'Angelo, Lenny Kravitz, Meek Mill, The Roots, Glorilla, Miguel, Thames, Kaytranada, Lotto, Music Soul Child, more. For tickets and info, head to rootspicnic.com. Presented in partnership with Live Nation Urban.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
I'm rehearsing. There are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on them.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line.
Additional terms apply. For JD Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
My name is Kyle Tequila, host of the shocking new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Kenny was a Chicago firefighter who lived a secret double life as a mafia hitman.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything. He was a crazy man.
He was my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Listen to Crook County on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Crook County to start listening.
The new iHeart app.
This is the one app you need.
Love my presets. The preset feature is dynamite. Love it.
And I've been telling all my friends about it. They're on the app.
Get in on what everyone's talking about and get the new and improved free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio. ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Your stomach is a mess and you feel lousy. Something is just off, but you don't know what. Yeah, we get it. You've tried every fad diet and supplement under the sun, and none of it worked. Here's the truth. Your gut's a mess, and your body is letting you know. You're just too busy, and you ignore the signs, making it worse. Viome gets straight to the point, analyzing your gut microbiome to give you a personalized health plan that actually works. Your gut is how your body processes everything that you consume. Stop ignoring the signs. It's time to do something real. Get Viome and fix your gut now. Dial **gut to get $110 off any test. That's *488 to receive a link to the offer.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
Every day, so you can find right away.
See, this is what happens when you don't have anybody behind the scenes. Help it! I pulled the audio of the damn game winner, and it was pulling something else from the stream. My fault. Live radio, what are you going to do? Anyways, you have to take our word for it. Great finish. Great finish in the SEC tournament. I'll tell you what, that's what it's all about. But it's an appetizer, because the madness will be here starting next week. First 4 on Tuesday gets started. Of course, Selection Sunday going off here on the 16th. We'll be live for you Sunday evening, giving you all of hopefully some good pointers and perspectives for teams that could potentially win 6 straight as the bracket unfolds. All right, joining us right now on the Gambler Hotline, representing the squad over at DraftKings Sportsbook. He knows a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to the world of college hoops. This is his time to shine. Damn it. Julian Edlow joining us right here, right now on the Daily Ticket. Julian, how we doing? Good afternoon.
We're doing all right. We're hanging in there. As you come to me to speak, I sweat out a UNC double result. And there we go. Wake misses at the buzzer. So UNC leads by 2 at halftime. My double result is alive.
Ooh. Double result.
That was good timing. You pitched it to me right to live sweat.
Double result meaning first half and final score?
Lead at halftime and win the game. Ooh. I like doing those with those like 6-point favorites. You don't want to lay it, win by 7. That's a lot. But those like 6-point favorites you usually get right around the -110 range.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't get more correlated than betting on a team to win and betting them to get off to a good start. So I do like doing a handful of those around this time of year.
Damn right. Let it more the merrier on DraftKings Sportsbook, and they got a ton to choose from. Make sure you check out everything over at DraftKings Sportsbook, and for all your madness needs, and of course conference tournament needs as well. All right, Julian, let's just hit the hypothetical question of the day, and you know where I'm going with the injury of Cooper Flagg.
Yep.
Why play these guys? Why play these studs? Why play these players of significance in a tournament that just does not matter?
Julian, tell them the conference tournaments matter.
It simply doesn't. The seeding is in on Friday. Half of these big time teams don't even play until Friday, right? Well, some do today, whatever. And all I'm saying is I'm not specifically talking about full teams sitting out. I'm talking about Cooper Flagg, who is potentially the number 1 overall pick. I'm talking about Kentucky players of years past when Kentucky fans don't give a damn about the SEC tournament. You know, so why are we playing players of substance, significance in these conference tournament games? Is there any pushback on that from your opinion?
I understand the argument. I'm against it overall, but I understand the argument. And, you know, I think what it comes down to is college basketball is just different than the NBA. There's only so many games. There is no load management in college basketball. It all counts. So again, I get your argument the most when it gets to a Cooper Flagg who has completely locked himself into a number 1 pick. Duke, I probably could have lost today and been a 1 seed, not the 1 seed, but a 1 seed. So it doesn't affect their chances to win the national title. I get that. But it just feels a little ickier in college basketball than the NBA, right? Like there's something pure about college sports where every game matters. And I appreciate keeping the integrity of that. So there is something to being a conference tournament champion, to some teams, not all, to some. Calipari doesn't care about it, but Calipari also doesn't know that you can just hit a free throw to go up 4 with 2.5 seconds, and there's no way you're going to lose the game. So people think differently, and my thought process would be go out there and try. You didn't get hurt all season long. Why are you going to get hurt on Thursday afternoon against Georgia Tech as a 23-point favorite?
Yeah. And of course, this is Thursday morning quarterback, revisionist history times 10, no doubt about it. But as I asked Sam, from my co-host here, Sam Oshtry, I said, do you think that they had this conversation before the tournament started? And absolutely they did. They did discuss these sort of deals. Like, is it worth it? And you know what? I will also say Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve just did a podcast where they were ranting and raving about these conference tournaments and what do they actually mean. And I don't know. And also, and the cherry on the top, we'll move off of it. Like I said, it's heavily revisionist history from my standpoint, because I am a fan of these conference tournaments. I love the action. I don't want to see anybody sit, but the number 1 item on the board, Family Feud style, number 1 answer, college sports has just continued to change and then some. There's so many significant movements in college hoops, college football, college sports in general in the last 2 seasons, due to the NIL, the portals, and everything that you can match, money being made, all that. So it wouldn't shock me that if somebody said, you know what, like the conference tournament's good, but guess what? We got nothing to gain. Let's play our young guns. Let's play some guys that I want to keep in this program. And maybe they will look at things a little bit differently than transferring and hitting the portal. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. And obviously it's
what's the gain in the late regular season games then? Like Duke had to beat North Carolina to wrap up the ACC. So
correct.
I get that.
Correct. Because doesn't that,
Michigan State, for example, won the Big Ten on Thursday night,
correct,
and then destroyed Michigan in a big rivalry game on Sunday afternoon.
But that
was essentially a meaningless game.
You're right. But I would say and in my opinion, and I would imagine both you guys agree with me, the regular season means 10 times more than the conference tournament.
Yeah, I was under I think the regular season title means more. It's still an accomplishment to hang the banner for the conference tournament title.
Okay.
Like that still means something. Like hanging those banners, winning championships, even if it's within your conference, even if your conference stinks, like the ACC, that means something.
Okay.
So yes, the regular season matters more because you're going through certain teams are going through brutal schedules, and it's months and months of just traveling all around your conference. But the conference title also means something. To go to a neutral site location and win 3 or 4 straight games, that's important too. Like banners mean something.
Okay. I will, look, I'm playing the role of devil's advocate a little bit here and trying to, embrace debate on the daily ticket. But at the end of the day, I think it is definitely something that will be discussed moving forward. And especially you're going to see it all over the place in the next 48 hours due to Cooper Flagg getting hurt. Julian, as far as odds movement, anything changing from Duke's perspective? What's your big takeaway with Cooper Flagg going down the way he did?
So initially, the number did move, and it wasn't as aggressive at DraftKings as it was at other shops, but there was a pretty big move on Duke right away, dropping down the board. Auburn, clear-cut favorite, and that's come back to now floating around co-favorites. God, I can't look at Sportsbook on my computer right now because I need to log back into Zscaler. Does this stuff happen to people? I hate this. Anyway,
Zscaler is something I've never heard of. What is Zscaler? What do you got?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can barely check my email. I'm not a tech guy, but I throw my laptop at people and tell them to fix it.
Zscaler. Is that a DraftKings thing?
I don't know, man. I probably gave away some
cloud
secret
security.
company.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, all right. We'll leave it alone.
I don't know.
We'll leave it alone.
This is probably my last appearance on the show. So whatever. You guys. Long story short,
Sure.
You guys can check the Sportsbook for me and see if Auburn and Duke are around neck and neck right now.
They are 350, 340. Duke 350, Auburn 340.
Yeah. So right where they were essentially. And that reaction came when Flagg walked back to the bench with a sneaker on. So very immediate reactions there from wheelchair to walking with shoes on that ping-ponged the odds around quite a bit. Let me say this, though, because we were talking before the segment, and I was telling you, like, I'm almost more excited looking ahead days in March than I am about the current day. I'm already, number one, I'm hoping UNC wins this game because I'll win a bet. But number two, UNC just had Duke on the ropes at home. They get blown out down the home stretch. If they could get Duke tomorrow without Cooper Flagg and Malik Brown in a game that they'd still be right on the bubble, but you beat Duke even without Cooper Flagg, you're in. If we can get that scenario tomorrow, I'm very curious how many points we would be getting with Carolina. And you want to talk about sitting guys out. There's no way Cooper Flagg is playing tomorrow.
No.
So, yeah, that's a spot that when this game that's at halftime ends, I will be looking to jump on right away.
Yeah, we were even taking it a step further, as obviously you would with that injury. And it's about what are you going to do? What's your approach? Again, we don't know the significance of the injury. We know the x-rays came back negative. We know how special a player he is. So that's the main reason why I'm opening the show up with it and continuing to hammer it home. This dude was about as special as it gets. We're talking about potentially the number one player in all of basketball with the Wooden Award. We're talking about potentially being the number one overall pick. Pretty much he will be. And then some. How great he was on defense. Like he is the end all be all for Duke's chances to win a championship this year, 6 straight. Now, without him, I think they're a good team, but I definitely don't think that they're going to cut the nets down in the tournament. Now, my question would be, what's going to be their approach when this tournament gets going? I don't play them in that 1 versus 16. No way. No way.
Yeah, ankles are tough. Some guys miraculously pop back from them when you see, their ankles touching the floor and they play a couple days later. And some guys take a while. I understand the cautious approach. I would expect he misses the ACC tournament and then you reassess it next week. But yeah, if you can rest him till a 1-8 on a Saturday or a Sunday and watch the committee have Duke play Friday and Sunday so that he gets an even extra day of rest. I would, the 1-8 for Duke is no gimme. Duke is a young team. There's going to be really good 8s. Like you look at who's on the 8 line right now. It's your UConns or, pretty good teams sitting there. So I would say that's when you want him back. You could try and rest him to the Sweet 16, but I think the easy answer, I agree with you right now. You'd be looking at next Saturday or Sunday. So that's what, 8-9 days.
Ice up. Listen,
Ice up,
I think
son.
Steve Smith, right? He's been in
That's
the
the
news.
Steve Smith line.
Yeah, that's right. Ice up, son.
Let me just say, I love that North Carolina look ahead that Julian's talking about. I was eyeing that game for a potential ACC tournament semifinal between Duke and North Carolina, and loving North Carolina in that spot because that's an win and in game for North Carolina. They win that, they're in the tournament. Now without Cooper Flagg, and look, they played Duke tough in that first half, like Julian said. So I think this is a great spot, a desperate North Carolina team, if they can escape Wake Forest, who they're only up 2 at halftime right now against. But if they can escape Wake Forest, I think North Carolina would still be underdogs. I wonder what you think about that, Julian. But they'd probably be around like 3-4 point underdogs, maybe even more. I'm taking North Carolina.
More. They were just touched 12.5, as low as 10-point home underdogs to Duke 5 days ago.
And how many points do you think Cooper Flagg shifts the line?
Good question.
Not 7, I don't think. He's big, but I'm looking at like 5.5, 6 with Carolina would be my guess.
But you know, a lot of people I feel like would
that.
come in on North Carolina too, which would move that line down even more.
That's why this is not a wake up on Friday and bet it thing. This is a hopefully Carolina wins, and then on DraftKings Sportsbook, literally within about 60 seconds, you're gonna see that game pop. So if you live your life like I do, you're sitting there waiting for it.
Yeah.
Julian, great stuff across the board. All things college hoops. Make sure you're following Julian. And I know that DraftKings has a ton going on right now over at DKNetwork.com. What are you guys rolling out specifically to help the folks out there in the listening audience as far as wagering on Conference Tournament and Madness? You guys got some splits. What else is available on DK Network that we can find to help us out here?
Yeah, everything, man. The splits are free every day on DraftKings Network. I usually tweet out the link to that. The most bet player props are free on the DraftKings Network website.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We are working with team rankings. So if you read any DK Network article during March Madness, you'll see a link to their Pool Genius, which is just another tool to help you fill out brackets. Obviously, if you're filling out your bracket, it can also help you with some underdog bets or however you want to view that. And then just ramping up the content. It's myself and 5 other writers, one of them Sean Barnard, who I know is on the show today.
Hell yeah.
Who are cranking out college content like close to every game every day. And during the NCAA tournament, it will be every game every day. So the DraftKings Network college basketball homepage, it is my pinned tweet right now with links to follow all the other writers that are contributing. So certainly check that out.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, Sean will be on a little bit later. All right, before we dive into all things NBA and talk about last night's game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Boston Celtics, let's continue down the path of college hoops. And I'm curious, where are we at right now as far as teams that could potentially win it all? This is a fun question to have with you throughout the course of the season. Never really pin you down, but you always throw some teams out there. I believe you even was flirting with Iowa State. Is there any teams that you had your eye on that you were automatically eliminating before? Now, I'm sure there's plenty of teams actually, but maybe some teams out there that you thought potentially could win it all, could win 6 straight. But before the bracket comes out on Sunday, you're saying, nah, I want no part of that. And on the flip side of that coin, Julian, is there a team, regardless of the path, that you're going to have in the Final Four, championship game, Elite Eight? Anything like that for you? Or are you a bracket? I got to see it first.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the bracket always helps a lot. So again, nobody should pin anyone down on anything they say until you see the bracket. Okay. But I think Iowa State, who's a team that I do have some money on, I think I'm taking them out. But again, they sat their starting backcourt today. Ideally, because you'd think they would be healthy next week. So we'll see. Like, that's a team that's had life. I don't know how deep you want to go down the board. I think everybody's drawing a line through like Kansas's and UConn's, but like they are the big name teams. They did take a lot of money preseason, so people are still rooting on their tickets. Like I'm out on those teams making a run. everyone's going to have Auburn and Duke, assuming Flagg is healthy, making really deep runs.
Yep.
And they've been teams that I've been saying all year, Auburn is very mistake prone come this time of year. Duke is very young, as good as they are on defense, as good as they are shooting the ball. So I will look to maybe have those teams bounced given the right matchup. But again, that's a see the bracket type of play. What I will say, if Houston and Florida are on opposite ends of the bracket, that's going to be my championship game.
Ooh.
Houston and Florida.
Woohoo! That is a swing for the fences. I wasn't ready for that one. Nice. Okay. Why are you so confident in that game?
I just like how both teams have played throughout really the course of the season. Florida's been good all the way around. Houston had to shake off some early cobwebs. They lost to Auburn. They had a bad loss to San Diego State. They had one other bad one in there, but they've, the form that they're in and how they go at it every game, like they don't have flat spots, and neither does Florida, who went on the road and beat Auburn, went on the road and beat Alabama.
Good
team. Deep, talented veteran backcourt, a lot of bigs, depth there. Like, I think Florida is a team that would match up really well with Duke, and that could be a matchup I see them winning. I think that Houston is a team that would match up really well with Auburn and be looking to get revenge from an earlier season, whatever it was, November, December loss. So that's the way I'm looking at it right now. I always reserve the right to change my mind until Thursday at noon, but or next Thursday at noon. But that's where I'm looking right now. I would be surprised if Florida and Houston, if they wind up on opposite ends of the bracket, that'll be my final. Don't know who I'm picking to win, so hopefully I don't have to make that a Final Four matchup on one side.
All right, let's go rapid fire, close up shop here in college hoops. We got some big ones here, and we'll start with at home. Villanova coming up a little bit later tonight, taking on UConn. It's looking like 7 currently on DraftKings Sportsbook. UConn 7-point favorites at MSG. Villanova already beat them one time, hung with them in that first half. I don't think you can really do much with them up there in Connecticut. Your thoughts on that game, if anything?
Yeah, this one opened 3.5 last night. So themed, and I agree with the money. I'm not going to lay 7, though. I put UConn in a money line parlay. I used them with Kentucky going up against Oklahoma, who upset Georgia yesterday. I think that's going to be a tough game for them. But yeah, UConn, a money line parlay leg for me for sure.
All right, Oklahoma and Kentucky was going to be another one, but we'll skip that since you already gave us the lean there. SMU and Clemson. Clemson 6.5. 142. I mean, I was thinking about SMU as far as between football and basketball. They've had a hell of a year in that athletic department. Nice work by them folks down there. The Mustangs. They're 6.5-point dogs against Clemson. Any thoughts on that one tonight, Julian, at 9:30?
Yeah, this is another one where it's favorite or pass for me. I have a lot of respect for Clemson. I think they're a very tough veteran team. We saw that in the Duke win. We saw it when they smashed UNC. I think this team, who went to the Elite Eight last year, by the way, and brought a lot of guys back, is a team that can play. So again, I don't like laying 7s in conference tournaments this time of year. So this would be another one, a money line parlay leg. It's in that range where you can get a fairly priced halftime, full-time result if you want to just play them to get out to a good start and win. So when I like favorites at that number, around now, that's generally how I'm playing them.
All right, lied to you. We do have 4 games for tomorrow. What do you have your eyes on the most? DraftKings currently has 4 games. Michigan State, Oregon, 4.5 for Sparty. Ole Miss and Auburn, 10.5. What's the one play you're eyeing up the most for tomorrow?
Yeah, I was hoping to get like an Arkansas getting 13.5 or something like that against Auburn, just because Arkansas is so athletic, matches up with Auburn well. But I'll go Ole Miss 10.5. That's most likely going to be a play for me. Again, I think Auburn is a team to fade this time of year. I think they've peaked. I'm not saying they're bad or they're not, a top 5 team in the country, top 8 team in the country. They are. I just think they've already peaked and they're coming down a little bit. And we saw that with losses to good teams, Texas A&M and Bama, to wrap up the regular season. I just think it is trending downward on Auburn, who, again, sees what happens to Duke today and says, why don't we just hold on to our number 1 seed? Not that they're going to fit guys, but what's the reason to go all out? Whereas an Ole Miss catching double digits, that feels pretty good.
Tell you what, Great job, Julian, on the college basketball scene, as you always often do here. But I was hit with this, Sam and Julian, yesterday. So I built somewhat of a studio in my house back in 2017, 2018, maybe even earlier than that, if I'm honest with you. Anyways, I put two decent sized TVs. I think they're 55 inches if I had to guess. Two 55s up.
Yeah.
Man, if I could go over and do it all over again, it's two TVs. There's no reason. You just need one big TV.
With the quad box.
YouTube TV has revolutionized the game, man. That's the setup you need.
I can't. I have this argument all the time, and this is, again, I told you earlier, I'm gonna battle with Zscaler here. I can barely check my email. Like, I'm that guy. But I don't like the quad box because you can't always pick your games. I need my games. So I am a guy. I have 4 TVs.
What game is not on the quad box? Like, what are you betting? Central Florida or something? Like, what's the game you're looking for?
Maybe
Division 3?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. You can't tell me what to bet, and I want it on my TV.
Isn't YouTube TV fixing that? Because I feel like a lot of people
they were saying
that
last year though, and they didn't. You're right. It was a little up in the air.
They haven't fixed it.
You're right.
I'm telling you, I have a friend that, like, we go to each other's houses, watch some games. That when I'm over there, I'm like, so we really can't get this combination of games? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, I'm out on that.
Julian needs Florida Atlantic and Charlotte to have a corner. All right. He's got a lot of money on Charlotte.
We have that right now.
It doesn't matter what it is. You don't need to know what it is. I just need it.
That's it. I love it. All right. Over to the NBA. Julian, you had a big one in your backyard last night. I said going into it, it's hard to make a big deal, especially about both of those teams. We know what their potential is, X, Y, and Z. But if you made me give you an angle for last night's game heading into it, I said this is a game for Oklahoma City to really show what they're made of. Everybody at this point in time is kind of stretched out thin with their schedules. I'm talking about just general sports fans. They're tuning in. Oh, it's 1 versus 2. Let's see what you got. I thought the only thing I could take away was whether or not Oklahoma City, if they did go in there and win the way that they did. I was lying. Because on the other side of that, Boston loses, and I get it. Both teams were dealing with a lot of injuries. I'm just curious about the 3-point approach. Live by the 3, die by the 3. Did they shoot as many 3-pointers last year as they are this year? Where are you at? Because you're the perfect person to ask that question. Are they different with their approach as far as shooting threes this year compared to last year?
I don't know about different, but it is ticking up a little bit. They're on record-setting pace. 3-point wise. I'm pretty split on it because I think it's like you're playing analytics, you're playing numbers, which is fine, but at some point you have to add a human element to the game. And that's the same way that I would say to handicap a game. Like, tomorrow we're talking about UNC Duke. It's going to be this many points. We're also adding a human element of, we don't really know how many points Flagg is worth. And UNC is playing for a NCAA tournament berth while Duke is set in stone 1 seed. So it's all about splitting that down the middle or splitting it however you feel you need to split it. So I did see some numbers that they took a lot of open to wide open threes and they shot a pretty decently lower than average percentage on those. So maybe they did have a little bit of bad luck on the threes. And again, that'll lose you games sometimes. But like I've been saying on this show and every show I go on all year, I don't think OKC's 2-0 against Boston. I still don't think there's a team that beats Boston 4 times in 7 games in a row. They're going to get their spots, but those shots are going to go in at a much higher clip 2 days later, and the Celtics will win that game. So that's where I'm at there. But at the same time, OKC shot however many more free throws than Boston, a ton more. And everybody on Twitter, because I follow a lot of Celtics accounts, seems to be complaining about that. Yes, SGA had some flops, but they were driving to the hole and creating contact. Boston wasn't. They shot 2 2-pointers in the first quarter.
Yep.
So how do you expect to go to the free throw line if you're just floating around the perimeter shooting threes? So there is a time in that game late where, it was tied. You miss a couple threes. Now it's 6. Maybe you go to the rim there with limited time left because you can't afford to play the percentages and see if the threes keep missing. They did, they missed, then it was 11, and then the game's over. So, that's what I mean about splitting up the numbers and the human element. At some point, you have to say, maybe the better idea right now is to put my head down and go to the rim, which Tatum and Brown are fantastic at. So I would like to see a little bit more of that.
My problem with Boston's threes, it's not the volume. I don't care about the volume. They're shooting 6 more threes per game this year than they were last year. But it's not the volume that I have a problem with. It's how you're generating those threes. And the problem right now with Celtics is last year they had an inside-out approach, and this all goes back to Kristaps Porzingis' health. Because you had Kristaps Porzingis post-ups. Like the Kristaps Porzingis post-ups was one of the most efficient plays in all of basketball last year. They were scoring 1.13 points per post-up last year, the Celtics. That was the best in the league. Now they're 1.01 on post-ups this year. It's not even top 7 in the league. So they're driving the ball less. Their drives are down per game. They're not generating threes in the same way. So I don't care about the volume. It's that you have variety to your offense. Is that you had Kristaps Porzingis' post-ups last year. You had the drive and kick, which obviously they still do a lot of, but you're not generating threes as well as you were last year. I don't care about the volume. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. Obviously 20 for 63 for 31% last night is just an absurd number.
Bonkers.
But that's just what they're going to do. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. You know, if they're hot, they're going to win games. If they're cold like that, they're going to lose. It's going to come down to 3-point variance. They have good shooters, but it's how you're generating threes, and that's the problem. And that goes all back to Kristaps Porzingis. Like why those post-up numbers aren't as good as they were is because Porzingis hasn't consistently played this year, and he hasn't played in long stretches. So it all goes back to the health with me. But I will say there's another concern, and I'll ask you about this. We're seeing regression from Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday, and this isn't just a last night thing. Jaylen Brown was obviously awful last night. He fouled out of the game. He was just atrocious. Yeah, but this wasn't just a last night thing. He's been worse this year than he was last year. His scoring per 40 is slightly down. His true shooting percentage is the worst it's been in 6 years. His 3-point numbers are down. He's not scoring and shooting the ball as well. And the Drew Holiday regression is pretty obvious too. If those guys aren't producing at that level, I'd be worried about the Cavs.
Yeah, the two, I have in my mind reasons why that's happening. The Holiday thing, I think he's dinged up. He's been in and out of the lineup a lot. I think Holiday's hurt, and that's cause for regression. Brown, I honestly think he got too jacked this offseason. I don't know if you guys have noticed
he does look huge. He does look huge.
He's a big dude.
He came back if you go back to the media day ones, though, he's even more buff. And I think he's, the course of the season, you're not lifting as much, you're running more. I think he's trimmed down a little over the season. But I don't know, maybe doing all that lift. Everybody's gone to the gym, throwing some weights around, and then you go to the basketball court and put a hole in the backboard. Like, did Jaylen Brown get too strong? I don't know. Like, why this year? Why is the Finals MVP having this regression? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I have in my head. Hopefully it's something those two guys can improve on in the next 6 weeks leading up to the playoffs. But yeah, Porzingis is the biggest thing, being on and off the court. But like we talked about on the show, like you got to plan not to have him. He wasn't there last year. He was there in a very limited capacity. He essentially got you off to a great start in game 1 of the finals. And that was really his only contribution other than being available on a few other nights. So you got to be ready to win without him. And if you do have him for Cleveland and OKC, which are the two matchups you need him the most, that's a luxury. But that, again, goes back to something I've talked about on the show. Like, why is Porzingis out now over 2 weeks with an illness? Yeah. What does this guy have?
Viral illness. What does that
Nobody
even mean?
knows.
Viral infection? Like, I don't know. So if this is like a shrewd way of creating some load management, I'm fine with that. I don't know if it is or isn't. Like, Porzingis has had a weird injury history. But if they want to get creative with him, in the playoffs against, who am I going to throw out there? I can't even throw out the Sixers because they're not going to make it.
Nope. Magic.
If they're,
They'll play the Knicks in the second round.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. The Magic scare me because they have size. Like, I don't even have a good team, but if they are up 2-0 or whatever, and you got to rest them and get them in the playoffs, I'm fine with that to get them for Cleveland and OKC.
All right. Julian, 30 minutes as always, man. Can't thank you enough. Jam-packed. Of course, you can find Julian on socials at Julian Edlow, EDLOW. Continue to find all of his content, once again, from the great folks over at DraftKings Sportsbook at DKNetwork.com. I'll just leave you with this one. Nice work. Congratulations by the New England Patriots signing Milton Williams to the highest average salary player contract in Patriots history. Yeah, that's not going to turn out bad for you guys.
That's what you call an overpay.
Wow.
He was Tom Brady. Maybe they should have paid him in 2019.
God,
or 2020, excuse me.
Milton was good. He was really good. All right. We'll see how that one plays out. But obviously football right around the corner, man. Can't wait. Hey, man, good luck on all those plays. Of course, we'll touch base next week, getting everybody ready for the madness. We definitely got to do it if we could before Thursday. If you could squeeze us in, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's look at Wednesday for next week. That makes sense.
Dog, you the man. Awesome, Julian. Can't thank you enough, man. Good luck on those plays. We'll catch up next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
There he is, Julian Edlow on the Gambler stream. Look, it's just doing, I'm on the air with it. Hey, we're going to book you next Wednesday. I don't book many people. I'm a one-man band. I'm still pissed. I pulled the audio. I recorded it, had it go, send it, boom.
Of the Ole Miss game winning?
And then next thing you know, was recording the stream that was airing. Yeah, bad job by me. But I'll see if I can get it on the other side. What a great finish between Ole Miss and Arkansas a little earlier. Once again, a lot of live action currently happening right now. We'll update it all on the other side. We'll take a look at some of the night games, including Villanova and UConn. Sam, you have any winners for us this evening?
Yeah, I have Villanova plus 1,200 to win the Big East tournament.
Wow.
And so I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to double down yet again tonight, but I'm certainly rooting for Nova. I think they could make a little run here. I think they could make a little run. Look, they've beat all the best teams. They beat St. John's, beat Marquette.
Cats win.
Yeah, you don't hear that too much anymore. Except you did last night. Nice win over Seton Hall. They look dominant.
All right, let's take a quick time out. We're coming back on the other side. We're going to talk Villanova, UConn, more college action. NBA coming your way at 5 o'clock. Picks and roll. Myself, Sean Barnard, Sam Oshtry from The Score. We're rolling 3 wide at 5 p.m. You don't want to miss that. More Daily Ticket after this.
Cinderella stories are fun until they bust your bankroll. The madness is coming. Cooper there to clean it up. A throwdown with 2 hands. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, and the total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's March matchup season at BetMGM. Ready to shoot your shot? Lock in your picks for this year's tournament with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Being on the sidelines is one thing. This March, get into the game with exciting state-of-the-art live tracking technology, exclusive sportsbook selections, and so much more. Check out BetMGM Originals for dozens of markets you won't find anywhere else. Take a shot at our exciting free-to-play games for your chance at scoring odds boost tokens, bonus bets, and many other prizes. New players can score up to $1,500 in bonus bets if their first bet loses. From the big dogs to the underdogs, March matchups at BetMGM is a player's best friend. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. Pennsylvania only. First bet offers for new customers only. All other promotions for existing customers, subject to eligibility requirements and rewards, may vary. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
CEOs you should know, brought to you by Comcast Business.
Sharia McCrae, the proud CEO of Foundation Academies in Trenton, New Jersey. Foundation Academy is a K-12 charter school in the city of Trenton. Our mission is to empower our scholars to excel in learning and lead purpose-filled lives through pushing for excellent quality instruction every single day. And so what that looks like at Foundation Academy is ensuring our scholars have everything from food and shelter to enrichment activities and tutoring and sports, college tours and field trips, equipping them and opening the door for opportunity and access for every single scholar to pursue their passions, whatever that might be. During this time that we're living in when there's a lot of fears and a lot of uncertainties. But the one thing everyone can be certain about is the opportunity to impact the life of a child. At Foundation Academy, we're always calling on folks who want to be a part of that, who want to have the impact, have the heart for children, because they're not just our future, they're our today. Join us in this movement to really change lives through education. You can visit us on our website at www.foundationacademies.org.
Comcast Business, the complete connectivity solution. Cybersecurity, internet, and mobile, all from one provider. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Rapid radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
The Eagles are moving quickly after losing pass rusher Josh Sweat in free agency. Philly's signing ex-Chiefs and Pats linebacker Joshua Uche. Villanova continues their Big East tourney run tonight against UConn. Temple will face Tulsa in the AAC tourney, and St. Joe's meets LaSalle on the A10 quarters. And the PGA Tour's unofficial fifth major is underway. Scottie Scheffler defends his title at the Players' Championship. I'm Scott Davidson.
Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. Thursday drive home. We've already got a lot of volume out there. Schuylkill eastbound, so 202 to Gulf Mills, Blue Route to Belmont. Then Jam Boulevard to south, where the off-ramp is partially blocked with a disabled vehicle. Westbound Schuylkill Jan, University to Girard, and Boulevard to Conshohocken. The Vine Expressway busy both ways. Schuylkill to 95, 95 northbound. Stop and go from the Vine Expressway up the bridge. Southbound heavy cop in the bridge. And approaching Ridley Park to the Commodore Barry. Laura Totella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes. Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song. Get your max tax refund guaranteed, and new customers get $100 to switch. Don't miss the boat. Book an appointment with experts today. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
If you've been wanting to try Ozempic, go to tryfh.com right now. If Ozempic is effective, Future Health is next level effective. These new reports are saying Future Health is getting 58% better results. Customers are reporting they've lost 35 pounds or more in just a few months. Go now and take the quiz while their 30% off offer is still active. Get started today, and you can have meds delivered to your door in 48 hours. That's tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Data based on independent study sponsored by Future Health. Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
I'm cursing. There are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on there.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line.
Conditions terms apply. For JD Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like, you know to check you have gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com.
Maybe I can't.
You you're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
Four o'clock hour here in the Daily Ticket. Sean Barnard, Sam Oshtry from The Score. We'll get into a little bit of what's happening in his world over there at The Score. Great website. Great breakdowns by Sam Oshtry and the team over at The Score. And even if you want a little hockey, that's the place you need to go. Playoffs right around the corner. Who you got, Sam?
The Flyers in it.
Joking. You know what? Summertime, Sam, coming back with a little yacht rock here, my friend. What do you listen to, man? What's on your dial?
You know, I've been on a little Lumineers kick.
Wow, solid. I like
some old school stuff. I know other songs, but they're great. I'll listen to everything. I'm a little bit of rap. I'm a little bit of pop.
Ooh.
A little bit of country.
Okay.
Like I love it all. EDM. Really, like it depends on my mood.
EDM.
Like, yeah.
Nice.
I love all of it.
Yeah, I listen.
I'm not like the biggest music guy, but when I like music, I'll listen to music on the beach where I'm walking somewhere.
You listen to yacht rock?
I don't know yacht rock. Never heard.
Yacht rock.
I went to a Bruce Springsteen concert last summer at the Citizens Bank Park.
Was that your first Bruce show?
Yeah, obviously.
Citizens Bank Park, great baseball field, great park to go take the Phillies in. One of the worst venues to have a concert at.
Kind of disagree.
Wow.
So I went to Morgan Wallen at Citizens Bank Park last May.
All right.
So that was around a year ago.
That was at Citizens Bank Park and not Lincoln. Oh, is that
Yep.
okay?
It was at Citizens Bank Park.
Zach Brown was at it. Yeah.
And so Morgan Wallen's obviously awesome. He's the best.
Yep.
We were in like a little suite.
Okay.
Me and some friends.
Yeah, that's gonna change things when you're in a suite.
We had a great.
Now us average Joes are in a suite, bro. But go ahead.
Obviously, we got hooked up for that. Some of my friends were actually on the floor, which is sick. But it was a great view, and like I get it because the whole diamond is cut off. There's no seats down there, so you're kind of just like looking there onto the stage. But the whole stadium is just vibing, rocking. And then we go to Bruce Springsteen, and we're in center field for Bruce Springsteen. Like one of the first rows in center field, and you're directly across from the stage, but you see the diamond and everything. And I still thought it was a great atmosphere, a great experience. It's not like you have that open space, so I get it's not as cool.
Yeah.
But we only went because my brother and my mom is the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan. And I don't know much about Bruce Springsteen, but my brother and I got my mom tickets to go, so all three of us went. And I listened to some music before, and he was great, but in concert, he was phenomenal. And it's like we were probably the youngest people there. I mean, it was all just old heads, just vibing, rocking out. And what was great about it, honestly, was you didn't see a phone in sight. Like I went to a Morgan Wallen concert a few months before. I went to the Morgan Wallen concert a few months before.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person, because more young people, more people
had their phones out,
was watching the concert through their phone.
Sure,
just doing all of that. Bruce Springsteen concert, very different music, very different demographic. Not a single phone out. Everyone just vibing, enjoying themselves. And he, for how old he is, he still puts on a show. That was an awesome concert.
Oh, the boss is the boss. There's no doubt about that. I've seen Bruce a few times. Matter of fact, I believe he shut down the Spectrum. I think he was the last show at the Spectrum. I was there at that one. Yeah, great time. Great venue, obviously, to catch Bruce at as well. I would just say that Citizens Bank Park was not made for concerts, so therefore I'm not going to, the expectation is what it is. I get it.
It's convenient, huge parking, but yeah, it's going to take me a free ticket and something special for me to get to a concert that says Bank Park. I mean,
but like Morgan Wallen is, I don't care where the venue is. Like I'm going to Morgan
Okay.
Wallen.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I went to a Travis Scott concert. This was a few
You
years
saw
ago.
Travis Scott, Morgan Wallen, Bruce Springsteen. Listen to this trio. You do listen to everything.
I do. I mean, I love concerts. Like concerts are
Okay.
awesome. Like concerts are more better than just listening to music in your headphones. Obviously, the atmosphere. Travis Scott was at Wells Fargo Center, and we were down on the mosh pit.
It's crazy.
That was the crazy. I understand how people died years later.
Yeah.
Like that is the craziest
Yeah,
mosh pit. I mean, people like it's just wrestling out there. People are just pushing and
Especially
shoving,
those are
punching.
Those are young boys too.
Yeah. It's all kids my age. Yeah, it's
even younger.
Yeah,
And
it's
those
true.
cats are a little crazier. Let's just put it that way. So, I bring it up because Yacht Rock is fresh on my mind, and I do some DJing from time to time. I'm putting together a Yacht Rock mix. I'm gonna have that ready to go for consumption coming up here
Where
soon.
can we catch you this summer? I want to go to.
I'll be I'm gonna be in and out. I was yelling and complaining about my financials a little earlier to Sam before the show started, so I got to do a little bit more and helping out the bank account in 2025. Yeah, it's 2025 with the new baby coming up. So hopefully I'll be all over the place. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying
Can we
to
get you down the shore?
Look, at the end of the day, the issue is with that. They have plenty of people lined up for years and they don't need to add anybody in. So I'm just looking for spots, like potential places. And
Let me get you at my spot Memories.
Memories in Margate.
Memories in Margate. Just opened.
Just
last,
opened.
It just reopened last year.
Yeah.
'Cause it used to be an old head vibe.
Correct.
And the music and no young people went.
I think I know who owns it.
Reopened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the owner. I know a couple managers there. I can get you in touch with those guys. They always have great music, great vibes.
I think Rach from Q102 was involved last summer there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, I'm glad
I'm
I brought
there
this up.
almost every Friday, Saturday night in the summer. So
I would like to be every Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Tuesday, whatever.
Yep.
I'm ready to do it all this summer. Coming up with that Yacht Rock mix, a little modern Yacht Rock. So we're gonna have some fun. Maybe you'll even hear some Travis Scott. Maybe you hear some Lumineers in it, but it's gonna be a fun mix. All right, back over to sports. Got Sam Oshtry from The Score. I'm Sean Brace. Coming up at 5:00, we're gonna run 3 wide, talk some NBA picks and roll. That's our NBA podcast. Myself, Sean Barnard, and Sam Oshtry. We do it live on Thursdays. I like it. I love it, and we'll continue to do that coming up here a little bit later. If you're just tuning in or you were working all day and you're just getting in your car or whatever it may be, haven't had an opportunity to check your timeline, the significant news item of the day, Cooper Flagg, #1 overall pick. Let's just remove the potential. He will be the #1 overall pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Goes down with a significant injury in the first half of the Duke-Georgia Tech game. This is how it sounded.
3, no good. Cooper Flagg has the rebound after the missed shot by Jaden Mustaf.
Oh, that's not good.
And Flagg
That
is down.
Not good.
Flagg is down and laying on his stomach. Now rolls to his back under the basket on the right side.
He went high for the rebound, landed. He's holding his left ankle. He wants help to the bench. Oh, my goodness.
Well, in the immediate moment, it looks less than ideal because he couldn't put weight on it at first. Now he's put his left foot on the floor and is trying to put some weight on the left leg. But he is limping and heavily limping as he comes off the floor.
Yeah, and he would have to get wheeled to the x-ray room and in a wheelchair. Cooper Flagg, though, x-rays came back negative. Shire spoke to the media after the game, said that essentially x-rays came back negative. They need some time to do some further evaluations, swelling going down, etc. Sam and I were talking about the significance, the importance of playing these conference tournament games. Do they really mean anything? Again, this is revisionist history, no doubt about it. Monday morning quarterback, Thursday here, whatever you want to say. But it's something that I know will be discussed and something in the new world that we live in with the NIL, the portal, and all the above. I think that maybe the approach might be a little bit different for players of substance moving forward. Again, that's Cooper Flagg. It's a huge deal for Duke. Fast forward, though, Sam, bringing people up to date here. You and I were discussing the outlook or the approach for Duke with Cooper this upcoming week. Now, we are pretty much in agreement he won't play tomorrow. The ACC tournament will be done for Cooper Flagg. Now it's Thursday and Friday for the first round, 1s versus 16. Duke will be a 1 seed. So therefore, you're not in any rush, correct? Am I putting words in your mouth? You're not in any rush to get Cooper Flagg back for that 116, correct?
That's right. It's probably just not worth it because you're playing a 16 seed. I think the 16 seed may matter. I mean, the Duke will have a good idea of the 16 seed they get drawn up against. Some are better than others. Like some will be able to compete and some are just downright horrible. And Duke will have a good sense of that. But you don't want to rush him back. Like he's going to be playing on a hobbled ankle regardless when he comes back, assuming he does at some point. I mean, there is this possibility he's just done. Like he's done until maybe like the Final Four, and then if they somehow get there without him, which
we
is
don't
very
know right now. You're right.
Unlikely.
Yep.
But from my standpoint, you're going to sit him in that 116 game, and they're going to see how that ankle progress. And you would hope, obviously, they're going to hope for that Friday, Sunday now, and maybe the committee will give it to him. But they're going to hope for that Friday, Sunday game to delay it as much as possible. You're probably going to sit him for that Friday game. You're going to see how that ankle progresses throughout next week, constant treatment. And when he comes back in that round of 32, most likely, he's going to be hobbled. But that's probably when I think we're going to see him next.
All right. So that's the big news item of the day. Of course, Cooper Flagg. We'll see what happens as far as the swelling is concerned. Got to get that down. MRI will be ordered and then take it from there. But I would assume that Duke is probably saying, look, we'll be all right in that 116 matchup. But to Julian Edlow's point, and if I could real quick, pull up the bracketology as far as seeding is concerned, that 1-8-1-9 matchup could potentially be a little bit different of an approach for Duke. You can't look past anybody. Hell, Virginia lost 116. Did anybody else lose 116?
Yeah, Purdue.
That was 116.
Purdue lost 116. Then that was 2 years ago. The last year they went to the championship.
That's correct. That is correct.
So when you lose 116, you have pretty great success the year after.
That's true. As far as bracketology is concerned, with those 8-9 seeds, you do have some good teams. And I know that we were talking about potentially UConn could be one of those teams. Creighton, I'll just give it to you this way. Currently, right now, Joe Lunardi, ESPN.com, Marquette, Baylor, 8-9. Mississippi State, Creighton, 8-9. Down there, we are going Memphis, Georgia, 8-9. And then UConn, New Mexico, 8-9. Yeah, it's a young Duke team.
Those are tough 8-9.
Yeah.
Tough. I mean, Creighton's, I think they're still underrated. So like you see Duke Creighton without Cooper Flagg, maybe a hobbled Cooper Flagg who's nursing that ankle. That's an interesting matchup.
All right. Is there a team that you have your eye on? Because I know if I asked Beef this question, he would say Oklahoma. I think he's been pumping the Sooners on the timeline for the last 2-3 weeks. Of course, they had a big come from behind victory against Georgia. I didn't think that they were going to get that last night, so they deserve credit there. Is there a team in your mind that you're eyeing up right now that could potentially play the role of spoiler, or maybe you're going to lean a little bit? Again, we need to have the bracket in our hands, but look, if there's a team that you like, you're going to have them advancing in the bracket. You're going to have them getting to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. Is there a team that you have your eye on right now besides Maryland?
Yeah, of course, Maryland, but they should be on the 4 seed line. I kind of like Illinois a little bit in terms of a team that could come onto the scene. They won 3 straight to finish the regular season. They look much better. And when they went through that lull earlier this year, they were without some key guys. Like they faced a lot of illness and a lot of injuries, including to Will Riley, one of their bigs this year. So he was out for a decent stretch. Some other guys were out for a decent stretch. Illinois is playing much better down the stretch. They play Iowa today in the Big Ten tournament, and the winner of that game will actually play Maryland tomorrow night at 6:30. So I obviously hope Maryland beats, assuming it'll be Illinois tomorrow night. But I think this Illinois team could do some damage in the tournament where, let's see where they're projected right now. They're on the 6 seed line. Like this, as a 6 seed, they could upset a 3 seed. You could see this team in the Sweet 16, potentially one of those lower seeded teams that makes a deep run. Maybe even, I have to see how the bracket comes out, but I'm thinking Illinois could make a Final Four run. Because I just think this team is playing better, and they're always been a really talented team.
Yes,
they were just missing guys and suffered a lot of illness throughout the year, where they went through some lulls and had some bad losses in the Big Ten. But I think this Illinois team is pretty good. If you're looking for one of these teams that's not being talked about like some of these higher caliber programs.
All right, yeah, Illinois is definitely a team that Beef has his eye on. I caught Illinois a few times this year. You're right about the injuries. I did see them smash Penn State in a game that I had Illinois. That was earlier in the year. They're all earlier in the year at this point in time. But
I mean, the last 2 wins over the regular season were Purdue. They beat Purdue last game of the season, and then they beat Michigan. And Michigan obviously has been bad the final 2-3 weeks of the season, but that's still one of the better teams in the Big Ten. So this Illinois team is playing really better, gaining confidence heading into the postseason.
You know what I'm not a fan of?
What's that?
Peacock and streaming games on Peacock.
Yeah, it's been annoying.
You know, and I have it specifically for football or for soccer. Listen to me, for soccer.
No, for football too.
Football, yeah.
You know why I had Peacock in the beginning. Actually, I don't even have mine. I use a friend's account.
Yeah.
Eagles' first game of the season was on Peacock this year. The Brazil game. So that's the only reason why I even got someone's account. Yeah, it's annoying just because it's way harder to get to.
Correct. We got Marquette and Xavier right now, 84-80, 20 seconds to go in the second half there. So it's frustrating. UNC and Wake Forest, though, currently got ourselves a ball game down in Charlotte. Wake up by 1 in this one here. I think Wake was a 7-point dog. I believe UNC was 7-point favorites in this one. So here we are right now, 7:52 to go. Hopefully you had the under in this one. Still not over, don't get me wrong. But as far as UNC, maybe looking past Wake playing above their level right here, right now. What you read on this game? Of course, we're live. You haven't been able to pay attention, but are you surprised with Wake currently leading?
Yeah, I don't think Wake is very good. They were on the bubble team, but on the wrong side of the bubble. And they will have to make a huge run in the ACC tournament, probably all the way to the championship to make the tournament because they're on the next 4 outline. So a win over UNC will certainly help. Then they would play Duke next round. And so obviously if they beat UNC and Duke back-to-back, Wake Forest might play themselves into this tournament, but I have not been impressed with Wake most of this year. So I'm pretty surprised that they're up 1 on UNC with 7 minutes to go. Maybe UNC got that Cooper Flagg news and got a little too excited.
Could be. We'll see. Again, a lot of basketball to be played down there with 7:42 to go. Currently, Wake Forest up by 1, 21-10 on the season, 21-12 for UNC. All right, let's talk about some games that we have coming up this evening. Let's stay local. Temple and Tulsa. Temple, 3.5-point favorites. Tulsa, 12-19 on the season, 17-14 for the Owls. They're 3.5-point favorites in this one. And then we got St. Joe's and LaSalle. St. Joe's, a monster, 12.5-point favorite. That game is going off at 7:30. Tulsa and Temple at 7 p.m. Your thoughts on both of those games? You got any leans, any action, Sam Oshtry?
Yeah, I like Temple. I'm on Temple minus 3.5 over Tulsa. This will be the 3rd time they play each other this season. Temple just beat Tulsa towards the end of the regular season. So that was a big time win for Temple. This is a 7-10 matchup, but Temple actually lost to Tulsa earlier this year. I just think Temple's the better team. You know, it's only 3.5. I'm going to take the points when you're going on a neutral site, better team. Remember, Temple won 4 straight games last year. They were one of the worst teams in the AAC last year, and they won 4 straight to make it to the AAC final against UAB, and they had a chance to make the March Madness tournament if they won that game, and they obviously lost in that AAC final, but they made it all the way to Sunday. So this same staff, Adam Fisher was his first year last year. They know what it takes to go on these stretches and win a few games in a row, and so I think it starts today with Tulsa, and they have a pretty good bracket moving forward where they could make another run. I just think Temple's the better team than Tulsa. So if it's 3.5, I'm going to take Temple there. Moving on to LaSalle St. Joe's. It's going to be the 4th time these teams play. The 4th, I believe. St. Joe's LaSalle. Yeah, it'll be the fourth time these teams play. They play in the Big Five and then twice in the A-10 schedule.
Did you see them in the Big Five? Were you there for that game?
Was I there for that game? I went to the Big Five. No, I wasn't, because I saw Villanova and Temple at the Big Five. Yeah, but that was the only game I actually stayed for.
Okay,
and I think they might have been later in that day, but I can't even remember. That was so long ago. What was that, December?
Yeah.
So, but the thing about it is, St. Joe's dominated LaSalle the first 2 matchups. They won by double digits both times. But these 2 teams played on Saturday, this past Saturday. St. Joe's was a 10.5-point favorite, and LaSalle won outright. But the thing about that game was that was Fran Dunphy's last game at home for LaSalle. So it was a whole big ceremony pregame. It was obviously an emotional game, good atmosphere. So LaSalle won outright as a double-digit underdog. But that was a different type of game because Fran Dunphy's last game, the end of the regular season, the last regular season game for both of these teams. St. Joe's is the way better team. 12.5 is a really big line. But when you saw normal games earlier this year, St. Joe's covered this number twice. So I don't know if I'm really going to lie this. St. Joe's is one of the most talented teams in the A-10, but the record doesn't really say that. St. Joe's going to win the ball game. I'm not going to touch the number.
All right. We will continue talking college hoops. We'll get over to the NBA in the 5 o'clock hour. I do want to bring some sad news. We had a sports columnist that had a hell of a career pass away at the age of 69. John Feinstein passed away. One of, a guy that made a huge name for himself covering all things sports.
Washington Post columnist.
Yeah. He was doing crazy radio hits. He was all over the place. And, passed away at the age of 69. And his brother told the Washington Post last night. He was most widely known for his coverage of college basketball, golf, college football, the Olympics. He wrote for Golf Digest, frequent contributor to a variety of radio programs with a regular stint on National Public Radio, NPR. I used to hear him all the time and been like, he's a little too dry for my taking, but he's one of those guys, old school, that like, hey, man, if he's got something to say, you got to listen. You got to pull up. And one of the great sports reporters that I know I had growing up, and definitely valued his opinion and read some of his work. And sad news, 69 years old. That's a little early there. So rest in peace, John Feinstein. All right, moving on. Let's keep it moving here. Daily Ticket, Sam Oshtry, Sean Brace. We're going to come back. We'll reset the table. We'll talk a little NBA. We'll jab at that because we did have a big time ending last night out there in the Pacific Northwest. I got some sound of Mikal Bridges. Speaking of Villanova, Mikal Bridges hitting a game winner. Sam Oshtry has a big take as far as what Bridges' importance is to the New York Knicks, and he'll dig a little bit deeper into that. Also, I want to have a little fun with you, Sam, during the commercial break. You ready?
Let's do it.
Dating back to the year 2000, since you're a young whippersnapper.
I wasn't even born that year, but all right.
How about it? So you get 24, 25 years to choose from. I want a starting 5 college basketball since 2000.
Okay.
All right. Starting 5 from 2000. How many Villanova players will make that starting 5? That's a good question. I mean, when you win 2 championships.
Yeah, there's one that comes to mind for sure.
Absolutely. He's pretty damn good. And that was obviously off of Mikal Bridges there, hitting the game winner out in the Pacific Northwest. This Daily Ticket. We'll fire up DraftKings Sportsbook, start talking about some of the numbers that matter. Also need to update the world of golf. Yeah, TPC happening right here, right now. We'll go down the leaderboard, some of the odds as well. Great stuff yesterday with the Creator Classic. Nice work by the folks at YouTube and PGA Tour. You know, we could all sit here and say that we don't like having those people that participate. That's fine. It's a hater world we live in, especially in the content game. But man, just from the fun that it brought, I think like golf now more than ever could use a little bit more of that front and center for everybody out there. And, you know, these tournaments, they start on Thursday. Yeah, I get it. Sponsorships, a lot of money to be made Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and you get people that are paying or that represent those companies that are playing. Maybe we could mix this in a little bit because I think it would be good for the tour, good for all things golf, and Swing It and Ding It do a great job covering golf. Love to get Moose out there or Maze playing in a content creator classic. Love to see that one. Anyways, Daily Ticket, more after this.
Our iHeartRadio Music Awards are coming back Monday, March 17th on Fox.
Celebrating the music and artists you've loved on iHeartRadio over the past year and giving you an exclusive first look at the biggest new songs coming in the summer of 25.
Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish,
Glorilla, Gracie Abrams,
Kenny Chesney,
Money Long,
Nelly.
Your host, LL Cool J.
Watch live on Fox Monday, March 17th, starting at 8 p.m.
And listen on iHeartRadio stations across America and the free iHeart app.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Heads up, we've got some fire department activity on 95 northbound the Vine Expressway. 2 right lanes are blocked and traffic is crawling for Penn's Landing. And once you get past that, stop and go traffic north on 95 Girard up the bridge. Southbound heavy approaching Woodhaven to Academy, Cotman to Bridge, and 420 to the Commodore Barry. Delays on the Blue Route northbound 95 to Route 1, southbound St. David's to Media Swarthmore, westbound Schuylkill, Jan University to Girard and Boulevard to Belmont, eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont and Jan Boulevard to South. All right, Chatella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. At Lowe's, members get more every day. Shop weekly member-only deals and earn points on eligible purchases. Join for free today. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms subject to change.
Hey, Sean Brace here. Now, do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. From radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of all of your ad needs, no matter your budget, call 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart. today.
My name is Kyle Tequila, host of the shocking new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Kenny was a Chicago firefighter who lived a secret double life as a mafia hitman.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything. He was a crazy man.
He was my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Listen to Crook County on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Crook County to start listening.
If you've been wanting to try Ozempic, go to tryfh.com right now. If Ozempic is effective, Future Health is next level effective. These new reports are saying Future Health is getting 58% better results. Customers are reporting they've lost 35 pounds or more in just a few months. Go now and take the quiz while their 30% off offer is still active. Get started today, and you can have meds delivered to your door in 48 hours. That's tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Data based on independent study sponsored by Future Health. Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion.
A landscaping pro's workday is measured in power per hour. More work in less time. That's why the pros prefer Echo outdoor power equipment. Echo's best-in-class chainsaws, blowers, and string trimmers make light work out of the toughest work days. It's time your crew upgraded to Echo Power. Experience Echo Power for yourself at Laurel Lawn Mower in Blackwood, New Jersey. Visit laurellawn.com or call 856-228-2770 to learn more. Echo. Power on and on.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Divorce changes your life and your children's lives. Whether that change is good or bad depends to a great extent upon the attorney you choose. So interview more than one attorney and ask about experience, specifically trial experience. And oh, by the way, be sure to include Cordell & Cordell in those interviews.
Online at CordellCordell.com. Offices in Philadelphia, Radnor, and Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Michelle Ferrari, licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
First thing, there are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on them.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line.
Additional terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Hey, fellow Gen Xers, it's Elizabeth Banks. Big news. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the charge. After all, we gave the world the internet. We're trailblazers. Let's lead the way again because we are at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Head to vaxassist.com and schedule today. That's vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
This is your Thursday Sports Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Conference tournaments happening in college basketball. We got NBA tonight in Detroit. Pistons and the Wizards. Pistons hanging on to the 6th spot in the East. They're a 15.5-point home favorite. In Milwaukee, Giannis and the Bucks hosting Luka and the Lakers. No LeBron James. He's out with the groin injury. Lakers have dropped 2 in a row. Bucks have lost 3 straight, but are a 5.5-point home favorite. In Chicago, Bulls and Nets. Bulls currently in the playoff picture with the 10th spot in the East. They're a 2.5-point home favorite. Signature bets, single game parlays. Build your own parlays. Lots of ways to take action.
New BetMGM customers can download the app today using code MINUTE to receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if they don't win their first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus to wager. New customer offer subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's a classic odor tale. You've had fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Hey, Sean Brace here. Now, do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. From radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of all of your ad needs, no matter your budget, call 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart today.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I need new rotors.
When you buy 2 Duralast rotors during our spring sale, you get Duralast brake pads free.
Free?
With the rotors.
Well, that's great. What if I need extra stopping power?
You can upgrade to Duralast Gold pads for just $10.
So Duralast pads are free?
Yep.
And an upgrade is just $10?
That's right. Part of the spring sale at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Areas that saw sunshine today will cloud back over tonight. Low temperatures stay roughly 10 degrees above average at 42. And it's a pretty nice Friday after we shake the clouds out of here in the morning hours going into the afternoon. 57 for your high temperature. I'm meteorologist Adam Joseph with your 6 ABC forecast.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Shop Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale. See a sleep expert and get matched with your perfect bed so you sleep better at night. You'll even get 120 nights to love it or your money back. Restrictions apply.
The iHeart Podcast Award goes to...
Our 2025 iHeart Podcast Award winners have been announced.
Discover the must-listen podcasts that are setting trends and shaping culture, including 2025 Podcast of the Year winner, Las Culturistas with Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang.
That's why we do it, is to keep you guys laughing and hopefully inform you with our half-informed takes.
Comedy, crime, news, science, tech, and much more.
Listen to all of the winners now when you search Podcast Awards on the free iHeart app.
Hey now, Daily Ticket with you, rolling live. Coming up 5 o'clock, just 10 minutes away. Sam Oshtry, Sean Barnard, and I will be the maestro leading the charge with these two brilliant basketball minds. It's an hour edition of Picks and Roll Live. All things NBA, big topics of discussion, your big takeaway from last night's Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder game where the Thunder were able to come out with that victory on the road against Boston, 2.5-point dogs. Nice win there, to say the least. Injuries, of course, topic of mind when we start talking about teams that could potentially make a run come here in the next month. We got some Sixers news that unfortunately we need to break down. Paul George, Lee looking at Tyrese Maxey not playing. Daryl Morey's comments more and more bother me. We got a lot to discuss coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, but I promise you this. There's more nuts and bolts with our discussion. We talk about things that matter, point spread, odds. We fire up DraftKings Sportsbook when we look at it through that lens. The hot take, the bloviating, that sort of thing, we could pass on and leave it for another day. But the Daryl Morey stuff, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just so sick of everything Sixers. So it's like he could go out there and go, it's a beautiful day in Philadelphia, blue sky. And I'd be like, shut up, Daryl. Right?
Yeah, it's funny because the Sloan Conference, I actually thought about going this year. And
Where was it at?
It's in Boston every year.
Okay.
And he
Sorry,
really...
I didn't know that. That's me. I didn't know where the Sloan Conference was.
Hey, how do you not know where the Sloan Conference is? You're not a nerd?
Yeah, the demographic isn't necessarily me as far as what's going on up there.
It's actually one of the panels was have nerds ruin basketball.
Stop.
Yep, that was the name of one of the big panels. But the point is
sports.
Yeah, I think it was sports basketball.
Just sports.
Have nerds ruin sports.
But I don't think anybody's ruining anything. I just think there's a little bit more to it. Too much emphasis in one direction at times. But
it's really just the emphasis on analytics is what they were talking about.
Correct.
But the point is that he really hadn't talked all year, Daryl Morey, except for that one press conference that he gave.
Can't miss the Sloan Conference, though. Got to be up there with my fellow nerds.
It's a good Daryl Morey impression.
Yeah.
So he was going to do the Sloan Conference, but he really hadn't made public comments, but he had to because he does panels every single year and he's on a lot of them. So he was going to be talking about the Sixers in some capacity. So I was waiting for something, but I didn't think it was going to be this. I didn't think it was going to be him just not.
No, it was a joke.
Trashing. I don't think it was a joke. I think it was dead serious.
There was truth behind it.
It was said tongue in cheek.
Yes.
There's a truth to every joke.
Absolutely. Yes. 100%.
He knew what he was saying and he believes that.
Is
he
wrong?
believes that.
Is he wrong though?
I don't know if anger is the right word. They're not driven by anger. They're driven by passion and emotion. The emotion has only been anger recently.
Last two seasons I'm pissed off.
But they're not driven by anger. They're driven by emotion. The emotion has been anger.
Yeah.
Because of how things have ended and how things have gone the last few seasons. What to me, and I guess we'll talk about it later, but I don't know how he possibly didn't understand the difference between the Knicks series and the Celtics series. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, I like that. Nice little tease there. That's coming your way at 5 o'clock. Sean Barnard's going to join us in just a quick minute. All right, here's the deal, though. Exercise we just have fun with. Of course, college basketball front and center for us right here, right now. Nobody does the madness. Look at the screen. Nobody does the madness like us here on the Gambler. We got great basketball minds when it comes to the college hardwood. We got young college basketball minds. I had to cut it off. Man, I go back, bro. I go back to the Fab Five. I go back to UNLV. I go back to Kristen Leitner and Grant Hill.
You're aging
Coach
yourself.
K. I go back somewhat. Give me some of these Syracuse teams in the 80s. Michigan, Glenn Rice. Now that's probably where I'm going to stop. But at the end of the day, we're all basketball fans, and we know how to pick up a book and, of course, watch the great run of NC State with Valvano. What was that, 83, I believe it was, something along those lines. Anyways, the UNC teams. Like, we can go down and up. However, for this exercise, the cutoff is 2000. And I think it's a good spot because as you look at the names that you could choose from, my goodness, we've had a lot of great college basketball players since the year 2000. So with that, the exercise was, give me a starting five, Sam Oshtry, from the year 2000 till right now. If you want to include Cooper Flagg, I have no issues with that. A starting five from college basketball since the year 2000. Your best starting five is what?
All right, so two locks. It's a really hard list, honestly.
It's really, it's tough.
Challenging.
Yep.
Two locks for me. Kevin Durant, average almost 26 points per game.
One season.
11. We're talking about the best player. A lot of my guys are one season. A lot of my guys.
Yeah, but there was one guy that won something in one season, and then Kevin Durant did what in the one season?
We're talking about the player that he was in college.
All right.
He was one of the best college players.
It's your team.
So he averaged 26 a game.
It's your team.
11 boards. He's a Wooden Award winner. Like, he accomplished more in that one season than most guys have in 3 or 4 years.
Fair.
So Kevin Durant is my 3.
Okay.
Then we're going at the 5, Anthony Davis. Again, a Wooden Award winner, most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament, also a national champion. So this guy actually did win in his lone college season, average around 14 a game, almost 10 rebounds per game, almost 5 blocks per game.
Yep.
He was a defensive menace, and he went number 1 for good reason. He's mostly lived up to that hype in the NBA.
Give me the other 3 in 60 seconds.
All right, so other 3 in 6 seconds. I was trying to work through it. JJ Redick's at my 2.
Redick?
JJ Redick's at my 2, averaged almost 20 a game.
No
Wooden
arguments.
Award winner, phenomenal career, obviously 4-year player. My number 1, I was between Jalen Brunson and Steph Curry.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Brunson just because of the 2-time champion. Obviously, the second championship, he was way more impactful.
So now rings matter.
And he won the Wooden Award, first team AP All-American. His stats aren't as good because he wasn't as great when he first got there. But the career he had, he was the epitome of a great college
Sixers
story.
just drafted everybody for Villanova.
Exactly.
He'd be
So
much
Jalen
better
Brunson. And then I'm between Carmelo and Jay Williams. I'll go Melo. Jalen Brunson, JJ Redick, Melo, KD, Anthony Davis.
There's only one different player from me and you.
Oh, really? Who's that? You said no 1-year guys.
I have Melo.
Okay.
Melo was
we won it all.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I almost went Jerry McNamara for Scranton's own, but I passed. Look, you can make the case. Jerry Mack was a great point guard. All right. Brunson is my PG. The 2, I'm either between Jimmer Fredette or Steph Curry.
Steph.
I understand, but Jimmer was
electric. Jimmer was more of a cultural moment and just the electricity.
Yes.
Steph was definitely the better player.
Melo at my 3.
Yeah.
5 is Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Nobody better. And then I'm going Hansbrough.
Yeah, that's the one snub.
Hansborough's got to be at my 4.
It's the one
snub. And I wanted to hate him, and I did hate him because I wasn't a UNC fan, but my goodness, he was a beast.
Yeah. KD was the better player that lone year, but Hansborough's career, it's hard to argue that. He was the one snub I had.
Who's your coach?
Ooh, I guess it's got to be Coach K.
I'm going Jay Wright.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue. I love Jay Wright, but it's got to be Coach K. Who else is in consideration? That Roy Williams,
Boeheim.
He's only won 1.
That's true.
Bill Self, maybe.
Self, yeah, definitely.
Tom Izzo. He's only won 1 though. It's got to be K. It's got to be K or Wright, really. Pitino.
Ricky Pitino. All right, Sam Oshtry's hanging with us for another hour. We're going to shift gears and get on over to the pros. Let's talk some NBA on the other side. It's picks and roll. Sean Barnard, Sam Oshtry, myself, we're running 3 wide. If you got an NBA question, fire it. We're streaming on all platforms. You can hit us up in the comments. Of course, live on socials at Fox PHL Gambler. Love to get you involved. Odds, big picture conversation, Sixers, little focus on the 76ers. There is 2 pieces of news out there that focus on the Sixers, so we will tackle them on the other side. Don't go anywhere. More after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Things are looking busy on the Vine Expressway. Both ways, Schuylkill to 95 northbound jam, Penn's Landing to the Vine Expressway, where we had some fire department activity. That's cleared out. And then stop and go Girard up the bridge, south of 95. So from Street Road to Woodhaven, Cottman to Bridge, 420 to the Commodore Barry, westbound Schuylkill Jan, University to Girard, Boulevard to Belmont, eastbound. Stop and go Blue Route to Belmont and Boulevard to South. Blue Route southbound delays. St. David's and Media Swarthmore, northbound stacked up 95 to Route 1. Laura Tortella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by eBay. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for. From smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
If Ozempic is effective, Future Health gets 58% better results with their prescribed weight loss program. Customers report losing 35 pounds in 3 months. Go now to tryfh.com.
Tryfh.com.
Data based on independent study sponsored by Future Health. Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
First thing, there are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on there.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line. Additional terms apply for JD Power 2024 award information. Visit jdpower.com/awards.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Sharia McRae, CEO of Foundation Academies.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Your stomach is a mess and you feel lousy. Something is just off, but you don't know what. Yeah, we get it. You've tried every fad diet and supplement under the sun, and none of it worked. Here's the truth. Your gut's a mess, and your body is letting you know. You're just too busy, and you ignore the signs, making it worse. Viome gets straight to the point, analyzing your gut microbiome to give you a personalized health plan that actually works. Your gut is how your body processes everything that you consume. Stop ignoring the signs. It's time to do something real. Get Viome and fix your gut now. Dial **gut to get $110 off any test. That's *488 to receive a link to the offer.
Selling your home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. You could go it alone, trying to navigate market trends, determine fair pricing, and tackle tricky negotiations on your own. You could second-guess every decision, wondering if you're doing it right. Then there's the showings, the offers, and the mountain of paperwork. Or you could work with the expertise of a realtor, here to guide and help protect as you make your next big move. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone, any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. It's a full court press on every topic. You're listening to Picks and Roll right here on The Gambler.
Let's do it. 5 o'clock hour, Picks and Roll on a Thursday. Sean Barnard, Sam Oshtry from The Score, representing the folks over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Sean Barnard joining us. Sean, good afternoon. Welcome to the party. How we doing, my friend?
Yeah, can't complain. A little bit disappointed about the Cooper Flagg news, but, getting piled on with some nice Paul George news dump. Nothing like no other good way to spend a Thursday than that there. But I do have my all-decade college basketball team roster locked and loaded.
Whoa. It's 2 decades, 2000. So you got to go 2000. Are you changing the game and going since 2010, 2015?
No, my fault. I rephrased it. So I stuck with the proper script.
Okay.
I initially popped on a little early here because I was going to defend the Kevin Durant. He's also on my team. But then you ended up taking him too, right, Brace?
No, I took Melo. There's nothing to defend. He was an amazing player at Texas. Number 2 overall pick. Understood. There's some other guys out there that accomplished a little bit more in a college uniform. That's all.
They were never better players than KD, though.
Hard to argue.
Yeah.
Hard to argue. Yeah. So go ahead. Your starting 5. Could your starting 5 take down my starting 5 or Sam Oshtry's starting 5, which is essentially the same damn starting 5?
Yeah, I have some similarities here as well. So a little disappointed in that. I also have Anthony Davis locking things down at center. 4.7 blocks per game he averaged in college, by the way. Pretty insane stuff there. Also have Kevin Durant here. My backcourt here went a little interesting. I'm going to John Wall and Steph Curry backcourt here as my 2 guards
John
here.
Wall.
John
Wall.
Yeah, John Wall. There it is.
Dude,
all right.
By the way, John Wall, an all-time guy that if he came up in the social media era would be insane off the charts. Like his Dougie pregame, his whole routine. Like
how about the NIL?
That was the start of social media.
How about NIL? Would he be cashing in on?
Like I feel seeing the John Wall was on like Vine or something way back when. Like I feel like that was the start of social media.
Good stuff there.
But he missed the mark, man, if he was in today's age. And then to round out my starting 5 here, I'm going Dougie McBuckets, Doug McDermott as my small forward. Add a little extra shooting there. Gave a little thought to Marshall Henderson. Gave some thought to Jimmer Fredette as well. I want kind of a college staple there. So locking in Doug McDermott. Shout out Craig.
So no JJ Redick or Melo.
Redick was on my mind. I wanted to bring Redick on. No Melo for Sean Barnard, though. Interesting. Yeah, Melo.
Yeah,
is
crossed my mind, but I kind of viewed that more of a Kevin Durant versus Carmelo thing, and to me, I'm much more of a Kevin Durant guy, and that does go. I mean, you can make the case from accomplishments for Melo, no doubt about it. What we saw from Kevin Durant in college, I don't know if I've ever seen from another player like that in college. The size, the skill, all those things, and obviously he's turned into who he is today. So Kevin Durant was a lock for me.
This is more Brace's time, but Jay Williams, I feel like, has gone completely under the radar, obviously, because the motorcycle accident. He'd have the NBA career, and he's an analyst now. Some people don't like him. But as a college player for Duke,
oh, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal. So that was kind of like before Sean and I's time, but he was 20 points a game in college.
I think he was a Wooden Award winner, right?
Yeah, he was, 2002. And he was a national champion the year before, 2001.
Yeah, he was fantastic, and those Duke teams were incredible. And a lot of fun to hate. Like, that was the big thing that I remember the most about those teams was it was appointment television because you knew you were going to hate them. And a lot of people were fans of them, whatever. But for my money, yeah, it was always about hating them. All right, let's get on over to the world of the NBA. And last night, we had ourselves a pretty good matchup between the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder roll into Boston, down a big piece to their puzzle, and they come away with the victory as a 2.5-point dog. Sean Barnard, I'll start with you. Heading into the game, were you ready to take away anything from that matchup? Were you trying to gauge anything in that matchup? Obviously, a long way to go in 82 games in a season, March 12th last night. But for my money, I was trying to read into it a little bit more. And I was like, you know what? I will take away something if Oklahoma City can go in there and win. Of course, down Williams. And of course, being an underdog, how good Boston is at home. But as the game ended, I took more away from Boston losing that game and the way that they approach as far as 3-point gunning, a little bit more into that. But enough of me bloviating. Your read on last night's game was what?
Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't one that the results meant a ton to me here. That I think it's been a tough stretch for the Thunder. They had the back-to-back against the Nuggets, and neither of these teams at their full form here. Jalen Williams is a huge loss for that team. It changes the entire way that opposing teams guard them. Just having a secondary creator on that, it really becomes dependent on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander creating everything for the Thunder. And those 3-point looks, making or missing, is a huge impact on the game there. So as far as like judgment on the wider scale, didn't read too much into last night. I also want to put to bed a little bit of the frustrations on the whistle that OKC gets. The common math here that I want to point out, Oklahoma City, they attack the basket, man. They drive the ball. They score at the rim. Boston, they took 25 out of their 25 first shots in the game. 22 of them came from beyond the 3-point arc there. You're not going to get to the free throw line when that's your shot selection there. Now, granted, there's success in this. We've seen Boston win a championship. Obviously, this is what they're leaning into. But I've seen a lot and this might be more personal to me as I've had one of my good friends as the Celtics texting me complaining about the whistle since last night there. I don't buy into that as kind of an angle here. I think it's just you're seeing the stylistic differences in the results there. But, I mean, these two teams are the gold standard in each of the respective conferences. I don't take a ton away from the specific result last night, other than that I do think these two are the two best teams in each of their conferences there.
Sam, did OKC impress you in that game last night?
They did, because going in, I really was thinking, all right, no Jalen Williams. There's not too much we can tell, because as Sean and I talked about last week, the biggest question mark for us is what version of Jalen Williams is going to show up in the playoffs. The 42% from the field version that showed up in that Mavs series last year, or a better version where he's more efficient, more aggressive, and he's making shots as the secondary guy to give Shai some relief. What I took away from the Thunder is they don't even need Jalen Williams to show up on a night-to-night basis, because they are so deep. Like, that's the thing about this team, is that their depth is incredible. There's going to be nights where Jalen Williams doesn't have good games. You're going to have guys like Isaiah Joe, Case Wallace. Those guys are going to give you 15 to 20 points a game. Aaron Wiggins was horrible last night. He was 0 for 9 from the field. He was 0 points. He only played 20 minutes. He usually plays more, and he's been phenomenal over the last couple of months. But he was horrible last night, only played 20 minutes because he was so unproductive. He's going to have games in the playoffs where you look up in a game 3 or game 4, and he goes off for 27 points. They are so deep. And of course, Chet was awesome last night. Was awesome. A big reason why they won last night is because Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein finally played really well together. And it was especially they played well together in those non-Shai minutes, because they won those non-Shai minutes, which is huge. And you usually don't get that from the Thunder, especially without Jalen Williams. What I came away with is this Thunder team is more than fine with their depth. Like, even if Jalen Williams has bad games, they have other guys like Chet, like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. Lou Dort was awesome last night. All these guys who are going to pick them up. And there's going to be games where Jalen Williams is awesome and some other guys struggles. So I was looking at the others in this matchup, and the others really impressed me, where it's like I've been saying all year, this Thunder team is legit. They will be in the NBA Finals, and this only reassured that for me.
Or Caruso out there as well.
He's been great too. That, like, they have so many different guys who could give you 10 to 15 a night.
Sean, OKC the best team in the NBA?
Yeah, they are. They're the most clear cut. They know their style. They know like their identity as a basketball team, which I really respect. And sort of like to the depth conversation, an exercise that I've been doing when watching like the way they match up with teams, watch like a legitimate playoff team and think how many of their players would actually crack the Thunder's rotation. That number is smaller than you think on a lot of like real deal contenders there. Like a team like the Nuggets, you look around, like is Jalen Pickett getting any minutes on the Oklahoma City Thunder? Absolutely not. And that's a guy that's turned into like a legitimate rotation guy for them. And you can kind of go down the list, do that exercise for each of these teams there. So the depth is real. Even guys like Ousmane Dieng, who doesn't even play for them, like I really like him as a talent. And that's a guy that if I'm another organization, you should be leaping at trying to get their scraps here. But yeah, from top to bottom, this team is deep. This team has talent. They know who they are, and they're not afraid of any challenge there. They walk and take things on like right head first and dive in and get to work there. So I respect this Thunder team. That's only increased as the season has progressed.
And here's the thing about Shea is that we saw against the Nuggets in that second game of the back-to-back, they were throwing guys at him right when he crossed half court, just running guys at him, doubling him,
Still
making other guys beat him. Yeah, but that's the thing about it is that it's going to come down to the others of the Thunder because they're going to do everything to get the ball out of Shea's hand. But he is so good at getting to his spots. It honestly reminds me a little bit like Kobe, where it's like it doesn't matter if you've nail help. It doesn't matter if you're throwing 2 or 3 guys at him. He has spots that he wants to get to on the floor, and he will get there no matter what. And he's so efficient at his spots, whether it's the elbow, whether it's getting in the paint, 2 feet in the paint, a turnaround jumper with his great footwork. It doesn't matter what you throw at him. He gets to his spots, and that's what's so impressive. So you're going to have to come up with different defensive coverages to get the ball out of his hands and make the others beat you. But to our point, the Thunder have so much depth that the others will beat you.
Yeah, right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, OKC plus 170, Celtics plus 230. So a little bit of shift in the odds after last night. Trust me, I'm going to tell you on that. 6-1, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Lakers are at 12-1 at this point in time. I looked it up, just wanted to see those 2 matchups so far. Cavs and Thunder both split. Thunder won 134-114 at home January 16th. Cavs won 129-122 on January 8th. I believe they had a streak going in that one, if I'm not mistaken. Cavs had 2 15-game winning streaks this season. Pretty significant there. All right. Again, that was the big one. Sean, I want to come back to you on this because I already got Sam's take. And Sam, you can go ahead and get your take in again here. But earlier today, we were talking about the 3-point value. Look, I get it. And it goes into like it's a combination of things because you're not going to get the calls if you shoot a ton of 3-pointers, 60 plus. But is it a winning method? And specifically when it comes to 7-game series, a lot has to do with that question with who's your opponent. So I can't really sit here and say anybody in the East is going to give Boston some work. But at the same time, if they're not making their 3-pointers, am I out of line to say that, you know what, they're primed for an upset versus a team like the Knicks, versus a team like the Magic? Or is it just strictly come down to you, the Cavaliers, no matter what, it's going to be the Cavs and Celtics Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah, I mean, the old phrase goes that you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And while there's truth in that, we also just watched the Celtics team win a championship just last year. So, like, while I have concerns there, I guess what I won't let go overlooked here, they strap up defensively, man. Like, this Celtics team plays defense, and that's probably the difference. Like, I think a lot of times when we think about these high-volume 3-point teams, think of the good Utah Jazz team back in the day, even a team like the Houston Rockets who had all that success built around James Harden. That was basically him and a bunch of spot-up shooters there. The metrics off the charts offensively, but then we saw them go cold when it got to the playoffs. The difference that I do think with this Celtics team is they can win games purely on their defense, just being better on that side of the floor and earning the hard points there. And like when push comes to shove, if the shots really aren't falling, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can do just fine attacking the rim, getting to it. They don't do it often, and they've really committed to this. The math makes sense. 3 points is more than 2. We kind of get how this all works. I don't prefer it from a stylistic standpoint or a viewing experience here, but the success speaks for itself. I do think they're dangerous, and it's not something that like I would have a huge concern from. If you can hit enough of them, you're going to win, and I think that's probably how things end up going down.
So just as simple as every team needs better three-point shooting. If that's the method to winning, why isn't everybody shooting 60-plus three-pointers a game?
Well, that's what every team is trying to create, where they have 5 guys on the floor who can shoot the ball at all times. And that's why you need a big who can shoot the 3. And that's why the Celtics are so dangerous with Kristaps and Al Horford.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, we actually have to be on the floor to shoot threes.
Right.
But people hated when he first shot threes.
Yeah. We were ahead of our time. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like a guy like Jokic is shooting almost 43% from 3. Like he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league.
Let me push back though and just say, because I was one of those guys that was hating Joel Embiid shooting threes. Now, not to the extent of those blowhards on our timeline that gas everything up. No. But when you are so dominant that you can't be stopped down low on the block, that's my point. And oh, by the way, I felt like Joel Embiid, easy for me to say on the couch, a little bit of a cop-out. Right? Real easy, just run the top of the three-point line, hang out there.
But it also creates for other guys when you space the floor and you're at the top of the key. Also, he became a much better passer like about 2 seasons ago. That is really when you saw his assist numbers go up. And that was partly because when you were operating from the top of the key or the elbow, you have cutters all around the floor. So I think there is value in having your bigs stretch out in playoff moments and in big moments when you need a bucket. That's when you kind of want him to operate in the mid post where he's just money getting to the basket or hitting that 10 to 12 foot jumper.
All right. Putting a bow on last night's OKC Boston Celtics. Anything you want to add, Sam?
Yeah, I'll just say the 3-point volume isn't a problem for me. It's more that you're seeing regression from 2 players that they need. And that's number 1, Drew Holiday, who was a 42% 3-point shooter last year, and he's a 33% 3-point shooter this year, and Jaylen Brown. And that's the biggest problem to me is that you're seeing a lot of regression from Jaylen Brown. He's shooting 31% from 3, which is down from 35 last year.
That is significant.
And the other thing is he's just not as efficient as a player. He's worst true shooting percentage in the last 6 seasons. His usage rate is actually higher, but his points per 40 minutes are down. So when you have players that you rely on not shooting the ball as well, that's when the volume of 3-point shots becomes an issue. And I talked about this earlier, but a lot of it is Kristaps Porzingis' absence.
Yeah.
Like when he's not healthy, you don't have that post presence. Their whole offense, they generate threes by getting the ball, getting in the paint and getting paint touches, whether that's drive or kick, whether that's operating from the post and post touches and then kicking out. That's how they generate good threes. And they're not getting good threes because they're not getting post touches and they don't have Kristaps Porzingis in there. Al Horford's great at stretching the floor because he can shoot the 3 ball, but he isn't the post presence that Kristaps is. Kristaps Porzingis, a post up from him last year, was one of the most efficient plays in the entire NBA last year. You don't have that this year. So no Kristaps Porzingis is the biggest thing for me. And I'm telling you, if Kristaps Porzingis is not healthy for a series against the Cavs, they're cooked.
Yeah, I believe so too. I'm right there with you on that one. All right. Sean, anything more to add in Boston and OKC before we move off?
Yeah, the quick 2 things I'll throw in. I'm a little bit optimistic that the Drew Holiday shooting resurgence could come. He has battled a little bit of a pinky injury, not the biggest thing of note or whatever, but that can impact things. And Jaylen Brown, I've never felt this way about Jaylen Brown, but there's been games this year where I've thrown him into the category of got the stats, but not the impact. And that really has never been him. But there's been a lot of games that I've watched that it's that didn't feel like a good Jaylen Brown game at all. And he still ends with 27, 8, and 5, and you feel completely fine about it. But it is something to watch there. Brown has never been a guy on my radar for that. And I do think this season, I've thrown him in that category several times.
We had Julian Edlow join us, of course, Boston Celtic fan, DraftKings own. And he said that, just joking, but to a point, he's kind of serious. Isn't there some truth in every joke? Isn't that what you just said?
That's what I said earlier. Yeah. When did I say that? I don't remember.
It wasn't it. It was Daryl Morey.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Daryl Morey was serious when he said
correct.
that.
But he did say Jaylen Brown, he thinks could be too buff.
Yeah.
Too buff. That's the first time.
It's because the Olympic snub. He was just in the weight room.
Just in the weight room getting yacked. All right, let's keep it moving. Over to a late night edition of NBA Hoops. Last night in the Pacific Northwest. Michael Bridges, come on down.
3.4 to go. Bridges holds the ball high. Knicks do have 1 timeout. Into Hart. Back to Bridges with 2. 3 for the win. Top of the key. Got it! Mikal Bridges, a game winner at the Horn. And the Knicks escape with an overtime win in Portland.
Knicks, 4-point favorites. Yes, come away with the win, but do not cover. You know what they say. Good teams win, great teams cover. That's essentially what we're talking about with the Knicks. I kid. Anyways, I think the Knicks could be potentially great if Sean Barnard, I'll start with you because I know you're the number one detractor on all things New York Knicks, which we welcome here. Yeah. Truther.
Yes.
You know what? At the end of the season, you might be right because I was high on the Knicks. But let's just have this hypothetical conversation. I know, Sam, you got a take on this, but Sean, I'm going to start with you. If the Knicks get that type of production from Mikal Bridges, and I know no Brunson out there, but at the end of the day, 33 points, that was a hell of a game by Mikal Bridges, maybe his best one this season. If they get that type of production from Bridges, and even bring me down to 25, all right, what are we talking about then? Because you gave up a ton to get him in your starting five. He has been a little bit disappointing this year, and it's easier said than done to step in and all of a sudden be the man. And, of course, everything that's going on, maybe they overvalued him a tad, but if they can get that type of performance from Bridges weekend or night in, night out, what are we talking about then as far as the Knicks are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, Bridges, I've been pretty critical of this year. And to be clear, it's not critical of Bridges himself. It's been more of a Tom Thibodeau thing. I've been really frustrated with their lack of usage of him, that you've essentially traded 5 first-round picks to a guy that you just have sit in the corner and shoot spot-up threes. And Bridges should be capable of more than that. He's shown flashes of being capable of more than that. Now, granted, do I think Mikal Bridges is ever a player who lives up to the price tag of 5 first-round picks? Probably not, to be perfectly honest. I don't think he's that guy, but he's certainly a helpful player on this Knicks team. I would like to see Thibodeau incorporate him a little bit more. I think there's more that he can bring that they've kind of unlocked. Jalen Brunson's still obviously the guy that is going to be the focal point, the main straw that stirs the drink in that offense there. But I think Bridges should have a larger role. So maybe this is a little bit of a wake-up call. Do we need to get this guy going a little more? They obviously need the offense from him in Brunson's absence as he recovers from however long this ankle injury takes. Pretty scary looking ankle injury to be honest. So hopefully not too long there. But I don't know. Overall, I still think that the Knicks are short on top-end talent. Karl-Anthony Towns, the defensive concerns are popping off the page when I watch him these days, man. Teams just circle him in pick and roll coverage. And I think that's only going to get magnified in the playoffs. So while I respect them going for it this past offseason, I kind of think they pushed all their chips in for a team that's not quite good enough. And that's sort of my read on things from here. So maybe they prove me wrong. I don't think that's probably going to be the case.
No, I'm with you, Sam. And you're right. You can go all in, but you have to be a solidified contender, right? If you're going to make a move like that, it can't be any doubt. And I wasn't saying, now that you got Bridges, now you can compete with the Boston. So I said that they were going to be a tough out, but I never had them in front of the Boston Celtics. So if you're going to make a move like that, I think you need a little bit more in return. Again, they obviously thought that they knew their team better than most. I don't know. But Sam, to you get that type of production from Bridges. Are they contenders?
Well, the answer is yes, but can you get that type of production from Bridges with Jalen Brunson, which is the question. The funny part of this is that this came on the heels of the first real drama we've seen with the Knicks in a couple years, if you want to call it that, where Mikal Bridges yesterday morning pretty much called out Thibs to the press about how many minutes he was playing his guys, which we see a lot of fans, a lot of media speculate about all the time. You have not heard any Knicks player publicly state that they had a problem with how much Thibs was playing until Bridges did, and Bridges said he had a conversation with Thibs. Then Thibs goes to the podium before the game last night, and Thibs says that conversation never happened and passionately defended his minutes distribution of that he has to play guys like Mikal and OG Morgs.
He's had to do this before, though.
Yeah,
right?
His whole career. Yeah, his whole career.
His whole career. That's the thing with Thibs, 100%. That's been the way his whole career. But now with the Knicks, the Knicks have never, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart have always had just good attitudes about how much they play.
Well, they got the podcast.
He passionately defended his minutes distribution and was like, you have to play Mikal Bridges and OG that's much because they're matched up against the other best wing guys in the league, like the Jason Tatums of the world. And he was saying Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns aren't even top 20 in the minutes. But it was just interesting. This was the first real drama we've seen from the Knicks in a couple of years, a team that was used to be constantly filled with drama. Now on to the Mikal Bridges point. Mikal Bridges has been incredibly disappointing this season. By every metric, he's just been disappointing. From a defensive perspective, I think he hasn't been as good. He hasn't been as good as screen navigation. He hasn't been as locked in. You're usually matching up OG on the other team's top wing or top guy, but Mikal has still been disappointing. 3-point shooting, the month of February, he shot 31% from the field from 3. This month, he was shooting 25% from 3. He just hasn't been good, and it's because exactly what Sean is saying. It's all because he's just relegated to the corner. Like their whole offense is just the Jalen Brunson show, and that works to an extent. But guys like Mikal Bridges, who is a good creator, he proved he can create for himself and others, coming downhill, getting to his mid-range spots. He's a great finisher around the rim. He has a great turnaround game. A guy like OG's fine just being relegated to the corner. Mikal Bridges has more talents that went unlocked. So it's just a Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns show, and that's why Mikal Bridges has struggled. So I agree. That's on this staff to kind of try to figure out how we can get him more involved. And the Knicks won't reach their ceiling until they do. The Knicks, I'm out on them this year. They're not a contender. It's Boston, Cleveland, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't even put Milwaukee above them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Sean. I don't know about Milwaukee.
Why would you put Milwaukee above the Knicks, Sean?
Because they have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Dame Lillard playing better. Like Giannis is really the trump card here. Is I know what I'm getting with Giannis. I know this guy's a proven champion. I know what I'm getting on a night-to-night basis. I don't fully feel this way about this Knicks team. Like I think they've had way more ups and downs this year than they have really during this era of things. And like to the Mikal Bridges point here, how good is Mikal Bridges really? Like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Do you think that dude ever makes an All-Star game?
No, but no. But he's better than what they're utilizing him for. Like he can play. Like remember, like Luka last year, Kyrie came along. Luka started playing a little more off ball. Kyrie had more of a role as a secondary creator, secondary scorer. Like Mikal Bridges should have more of a role as a secondary scorer and creator, and put Jalen Brunson off the ball. He is good enough to be the second best. I would say third best player, but second best perimeter really oriented player on a team that can make the finals. That's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree to the point that he's better than he's being used, and that like that's like a pretty significant blemish on their team. That you have to find a way to unlock this guy that you clearly made a high investment on to bring into the franchise. So fully on board with it there. I think I'm a little bit more of the contrarian on how good Mikal Bridges is. That I think he's a good basketball player, a legitimate high-level starter, but I think that's kind of it, to be honest. That he's a complimentary guy, not a top 2 or 3 player on the team if you actually want championship aspirations, I sort of feel.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, why they brought him in. It's like he was never worth 5 picks in a vacuum, but he was worth 5 picks because you were bringing in with a guy like Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and OG. Like I do think he can excel with this team if they use him more as a secondary guy to Jalen Brunson and play a little more Brunson off the ball. I think he's good enough to lift this. Like he is a missing piece for this team where they can make the championship in the next few years. He's not that good. I don't think he's an all-star level player. I agree with you. I think he's good enough where the Knicks will be in the championship in the next 3 years.
Wow.
That was my final point. That was my final point is I'm out on the Knicks this year. This whole Knicks operation of getting Mikal Bridges, getting Karl-Anthony Towns, locking up OG, locking up Brunson, this was a long-term play. It was about way more than this year. This team, this core is locked in for the next few years. Okay. And I think they're going to build around the margins. They need a good 5 because Karl-Anthony Towns can't play the 5 defensively.
I know what else
they need more of a bench, but I think this Knicks team is locked in. I think they're going to be successful. I don't have a problem with this group.
You know what else they need though?
And
I'm a fan, but I think you've reached the ceiling with Tibbs. I think you need a new coach in there.
It's just not happening. There's zero chance.
After this year?
No chance. He has a.
Oh, I disagree.
I think it would have to be a pretty like frustrating or concerning playoff exit for that.
Correct. Yeah. Anything is possible if they get a first round exit, second round exit.
Guarantee you he's not going anywhere for a long time unless it's an absolute disastrous exit. Number one, Thibs has a phenomenal relationship with Leon Rose. Those guys are very close friends. Second, Rick Brunson's on this staff. Rick Brunson obviously has a good relationship with Thibs, and that's why he put him on staff.
Jay Wright.
Jalen Brunson just took less for this franchise.
That was my point.
You're not firing a staff where his dad's on.
Right. No, you're right.
Like, Thibs isn't going anywhere.
There's a lot of inner workings. I disagree with that because it's the NBA. Anything is possible. You get hired.
This is a different franchise. This is a family franchise. Trust me. It's the South Jersey Knicks. Yeah. It's not the New York
Knicks. I do want to
Knicks.
say this though. When Jay Wright retired, I said the only thing he will come back for is to coach the New York. This was before Nova players entered the mix here with the Knicks. I said that Jay Wright would have interest to go into the NBA and only coaching at the Garden.
Why over the Sixers?
That's it.
Why over the Sixers?
Why would you want to come to your backyard? And
he lives here.
There's nothing more magical than MSG. I've heard him speak about that. Obviously, we know why Big East tournament, all that. So I just always had that feeling that if you're ever going to get Jay Wright out of retirement, It would be to coach the NBA. He would be able to check that box, and he would go do it with the New York Knicks. Now, then you add to the mix Brunson, all his boys getting in there. I'm telling you, I'd make that phone call. I don't think Jay's ever coming out of retirement. I think he's done. I think he's staying with the media role and, of course, enjoying the Jersey Shore in the summers. But, man, it would be intriguing to make that phone call. And I don't know. I think that you're getting your mass production with Tibbs. And we'll see how it ends. Again, they could make a run Eastern Conference Finals. You're not firing them. But would you be in agreement? They come up small. They come up short in the playoffs. Anything is possible.
With the Knicks?
Yes.
No.
Wow.
Because I'm telling you.
Build him a statue.
No, I'm not saying it's right
MSG.
or wrong. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you this franchise, it would have to be a disastrous situation for this franchise and the relationships that the inner workings go on there, that they would fire Thibs. It's not happening. Here's a fun what if that is, I just thought of in my head that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, really.
Right.
But I want to hear both your takes, Sean's. Imagine if Dan Hurley was coaching the Lakers right now.
Oh, disaster.
Conversation. Yeah.
Disaster.
Yeah.
I think it would be I think he made the right call not leaving. I can't even imagine him trying to coach LeBron James and Luka Doncic, man. Like, seriously.
And he was front runner. G Bus was out there saying,
decision.
"Yeah,
he turned it down."
She came out and said it just this week on the NPR, where she said, because she was asked about JJ Redick and how things are going, and she's just like, "Look, when we approached both of them, we had this idea with Dan Hurley. He chose to go this way, so we had to go a different direction." And she said, point blank, JJ was second in line, and I think that they hit a home run with JJ. Yeah. I'm not so sure it works out with Hurley.
Imagine Hurley trying to coach Luka, getting in his face. He's not a guy you get in his face.
Well, even LeBron before. Yes. What's funny, because 60 Minutes did that piece with Dan Hurley on Sunday. That dude has a meditation room in his house. What a freak. What a sicko. Yeah, well, he says he starts his day every day with it.
Maybe crank that up to twice a day, because, dude, that dude, like, he's gotten far more intolerable to me this year than ever before.
I'm so with you.
That's what 2 championships will do to you.
I hear you. Yeah.
I'm out on Dan Hurley just from a personality standpoint. But that clip in that 60 Minutes interview, they asked him, or he said he's useless at home. He does nothing at home. And his wife said his wife will ask him to take out the trash. And he says, "Do you think Jay Wright takes out the trash?"
That's wild. That's wild.
I didn't see that.
And then Jay Wright was in studio and they asked him. He was like, "Of course I take out the
Jay
trash."
Is the man. Yeah. No, like I always thought, like,
imagine that be responding to your wife, like you're like, "Oh, can you take out the trash?" You're in trouble with your wife right now, but can you take out the trash? And you're just like, Does Stephen A. Smith take out the trash? Does Scott Van Pelt take out the trash?
Taking out the trash is the easiest thing possible. All right. That's all I'm going to say on that one. It is funny because you think about those days of Jay Wright and with all the chat room dumb stuff that was put up. My only take about Jay Wright is he's too damn there's got to be some sort. He must kick puppies in his spare time or something. Right. Like he is too perfect. But no, having the opportunity to meet him, having the opportunity to interview him. We've been with Villanova. He still is heavily involved. No, that's the real damn deal. Like he is that good of a dude, man. And he's kicking ass and taking names for CBS Sports. So sky's the limit. Continuing for Jay Wright. All right, back over to the NBA, and we got a lot to discuss. Let's do it. Sixers tankathon last night. Sean Barnard, things worked out well for the Sixers, correct?
Yeah, this is what I was locked into during that, primarily during that Celtics.
Like, I'm watching this. Like, what is going on right now? What? Go ahead.
Jared Roden, baby. Shout out to the Raptors.
Well, again, Sixers had a goal in mind: lose the game, be competitive. Quentin Grimes, hell of a score by the Sixers. If Grimes wasn't on this roster, what would have been last night's final score?
I mean, with that being said, the Raptors, a far more egregious example of tanking in my mind here when sitting Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett. You can go down the list of all these legitimate NBA players that they're just, casually resting. And for what it's worth, the NBA rule is purely centered around all-star caliber players. So where these investigations get triggered is the word that is being thrown around here. That only happens when it's a star player. Like the Jazz got fined because Lauri Markkanen fits in that category loosely, barely, and because he's a player on that list here. The Raptors are basically skating through scot-free here, while the Sixers are investigating seemingly weekly at this point, including as recently as today it was announced that there was another investigation about Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is these goals have been well off the table for the Sixers for quite some time here. I am happy they now control their destiny at the bottom of those lottery odds there. So it was a success last night losing to the Raptors, and about as dull of a game as you possibly could imagine, to be perfectly honest.
It's really tough to tune in and watch anything Sixers related. But just to let you know, Sam, right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, team drafted by for Cooper Flagg, the Philadelphia 76ers are 10-1. Only 5 teams in front of them at this point in time. Where are you at on the Cooper Flagg odds to the 76ers? Any chance that you are believing?
What am I supposed to say? I mean, it's the Philadelphia 76ers that we're talking about. Yeah, you're relying on ping pong balls.
How bad can the Sixers be, though, after it's all said and done this year?
They got 9.8% chance of that first pick right now.
Wow. That is crazy. And just to bring people up to date.
Can you imagine if they got that? Like,
No.
imagine if they got the number 1 pick in the draft.
Wizards
Cooper
are-
Flagg is coming to town.
Wizards are 13-51. Hornets are 16-49. Sixers are 22-43, tied with the Nets. Raptors immediately in front of them. That's on the east side of things. Over to the west, you got the Jazz at 15-51, Pelicans 18-48. They're right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
They're right in the thick of it. Wow, that is crazy.
And by the way, to the same like skepticism that we hold as like the Sixers will never get it, they're cursed, all this thing. How do you think Charlotte Hornets fans feel, or Utah Jazz fans, or Portland Trailblazers?
They're just a horrible organization. I don't think the Hornets are cursed.
There is no way the Wizards fans are saying we're going to get Cooper Flagg. No way.
I mean, everyone's
That's my point.
being skeptical because it would be a miracle, and not a miracle, but it would be a huge deal for whoever gets them. I will say Daryl Morey is definitely at that Sloan conference, or was at that Sloan conference, planning a little exit strategy. A lot of big people there, probably planning a little bit of an exit strategy. If they get that number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg, you got Daryl Morey locked back into this team.
Yeah, you're right about that. Sean Barnard, take us through what's the latest breaking news as far as the Sixers are concerned. But they're being investigated, number 1, and then Paul George is rumored to be shutting it down officially.
Yeah, the most notable news with this is there's now a knee injury that's being regarded with Paul George too. So we've heard groin, we've heard the pinky issue that he's dealt with for quite some time. The knee is sort of new to be popping up, so it sounds like there's a chance he needs surgery. We haven't really got too much beyond that. Basically, the writing is on the wall that his season will be shut down. Also, some whispers from Sam Amico, who is hit or miss on some of these reports here, that they will be shopping Paul George and intend to trade him this offseason. I'm sure Daryl Morey will evaluate the market there. I don't think I quite see a team jumping at the chance to take that $150 million remaining on his deal, a little more than that, actually. So we'll see what happens this offseason. I do think we've seen the last of Paul George for the regular season, and ultimately, like, there is no reason he should be stepping back on the floor based on how the season has gone. So more or less a non-story to me, but just kind of more annoying loose ends of the Sixers being investigated and Paul George not being healthy.
What is the NBA's deal? Like, why do they care if the Sixers are tanking at this point, not playing the guys? Like, why do they even need to investigate this?
Because it's a league deal, right? Like, where you can't have one team getting away with it.
No, but like, it's all just hush hush. Like, all these teams, it's barely a month left in the season. It's just a hush hush thing. Like, yeah, we're not going to play our guys. We're obviously positioning ourselves for as good of a draft pick as we can get. Like, who cares as a league?
Yeah, but as a season ticket holder, that can't be right.
Then don't
As
buy
a
season
fan of the
tickets.
league,
Like, I think
well,
that's the risk
but
you
people
run.
are going to say that.
But I
and
think
that's
if you're a
not-
season ticket holder, you'd rather that outcome. That means you're a big fan. You'd rather that at this point of the season, you'd rather the outcome that they get the best pick possible.
I think that is a fan's perspective, right?
And that's a season ticket holder, though.
Sure, but there are plenty of season ticket holders that just want to be entertained. That I spent a ton of money to get these tickets, and now all of a sudden the product you're rolling out there is Quentin Grimes and 4 other guys that I have no idea who the hell they are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do. They play harder than the Sixers when the whole team was there.
no argument there. You're right about that.
Shout out to Dembona, man.
He's been good.
I understand the league's perspective on it. I don't think it's right. I don't think what they're doing is bulletproof, but I do understand why they are like, hey, man, this can't be happening, especially like as blatant as it is. Like Maxey, is that the big red flag at this point in time, Sean?
I think Maxey's legitimately hurt right now. Like that back injury he picked up, that looked like one that'll keep you out a couple games when he went down sort of in a heap grabbing at that. And by the way, this is after the fact in which it's announced he's shooting with 3 fingers playing through a hand injury, so like to me, I don't think Maxey is like a deliberate tanking. I think the dude is literally hurt right now is sort of the pushback there. And I'll also note, like, with basketball specifically, we see this magnified so much more than any single sport because one player makes a difference so much more than any single sport here. That whatever team lands Cooper Flagg, whether it is the Jazz, whether it is the Hornets, whether it is the Wizards, that team is automatically relevant next year. Like that changes your entire trajectory of a franchise. So while I get the NBA's stance on it, you're never going to stop teams from doing this because it is in their best interest. So I get it from like the an optics standpoint that they want this to stop here. But you're kind of fighting a losing battle in my mind. And I honestly think there's even an argument to be made that it just makes things worse calling this to attention constantly, that we're investigating, that we're finding this team, finding the Jazz 100,000. Like it just kind of is what it is. And I think we kind of all got to accept that there.
It's for the league to stick their arms down and be like, we're stopping tanking. Like you're not. Anyone can make up an injury. If you're just going to say, oh, we're going to investigate this, we're just going to make up an injury because guys are all banged up to an extent. So you can pretty easily make up, oh, my groin, oh, my knee, and the doctors can evaluate them and say they're out. Like it's pretty easy to make up an injury at that point. So you're not really going to get anywhere by investigating these guys, even though they did find the Jazz because they were just blatantly sitting out Lauri Markkanen. But still, you can make up injuries and get away with this. So it's just, I don't know why the league needs to like act like some big bad bully, like they're stopping this tanking effort. It's let it happen.
All right. Keeping it moving. Let's get on over to tonight's card. Quickly, though, if we could, about last night, just want to say your boy had Trae Young, and you guys haven't even thanked me on that. Nice work. You haven't even congratulated me. Come
Congratulations.
on. Thank you. 429 and bonus bets on King of the Court over there at DraftKings Sportsbook. Yep. Trae Young was called out in the daily ticket yesterday. And
that's a great hit.
It
was a loaded card.
It was a loaded card. That number, the total was ridiculous. The other total last night, did that go over?
My Jared Roden ticket was hot for a while, but didn't come through for me.
The other, 248 stayed under total score. There it was. Damn it. I said last night, because the last time that the Memphis Grizzlies and Utah Jazz played, it was 248 as well, and it stayed way under the total. And same thing last night, 122 to 115, 237 to 248. So again, that just felt like that was an underplay. I didn't get them all right. Last night, but we will highlight some of the wins there as far as last night's card is concerned. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the numbers that we have on DraftKings Sportsbook for tonight. I want to start with the Lakers. Sam, I'm going to start with you. What are you looking at as far as just a fan's perspective, hitting the fast forward button, futures? What are you trying to take away from the Lakers at this point in time without LeBron in the mix? What's something that you will be paying attention to tonight? They're taking on the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. They're 7-point dogs. Your expectations tonight are what?
Yeah, not a lot. There's really nothing you're going to learn from the Lakers when they're playing without LeBron. They're playing without a center because Jackson Hayes is out. Rui Hachimura is out. Sure, you can call Alex Len a center. He's barely an NBA center as far as I'm concerned.
But we've got Luka Doncic. He's one of the best players of all time. You mean we can't learn something from him?
That's what I was going to say. But like when Luka's phenomenal and he'll do his thing. But when he's playing without other guys he's going to be on the court with constantly when they actually make their playoff push, it's really, you're not going to learn much from it. Okay. What I will say is I want to see Luka get his footing back and kind of get in more of a rhythm because he's not shooting the ball well at all as a Laker. And he's also not getting to the rim as much. Really this entire season, he's not getting to the rim as much. So I want to kind of just see him get a rhythm back, play Luka Doncic's game, what he's great at, maybe that heliocentric basketball you can even play more of without LeBron and without some of these other guys. So I want to just see Luka become Luka again because he's been really good, but he hasn't been Luka Doncic yet as a Laker. So I think this is a good opportunity when LeBron's out to kind of regain his rhythm because this isn't their complete team. So there's not a lot I'm looking at, but it's really just more from a Luka perspective.
Bucks -7 or Lakers +7, Sam?
If I had to go one way, I would go Lakers +7. I wouldn't touch this, but I would go Lakers +7. Giannis is questionable. Damian Lillard, I believe, is questionable.
Oh, man.
So you don't know exactly if those guys are going to play.
Wait, but just let me ask you. Let's just stop on that for a second. Is that not a problem for the league? Like we're talking about the tanking, and now you're like
that's not a tanking thing.
Giannis has been questionable like every game.
Yeah,
and now Dame's not, but like as a fan,
but it's like those guys are dealing with injuries.
So is this supposed to be understood?
This isn't a tanking thing.
So
like
here we are at 5 o'clock.
They actually it could be in a way because they should want to be in that 4-5 matchup. Really the 4 seed because they don't want to play Boston in the second round. They'd rather play the Cavs, who's going to be the 1 seed, it looks like. So maybe it is a little bit of that. They're just kind of positioning themselves for that 4 seed or that 4-5 range where they're at right now. But I like those guys have been questionable every game. I don't really see it as a problem.
All right, I stand down on that one. Sean Barnard, your thoughts tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not getting the complete picture here, and I think, to be honest, we're really seeing the shortcomings of this Laker roster without LeBron. Like, when you think about a Luka Doncic-centric team, how clearly defined that style is and the personnel surrounding them, that's what we're missing on this Lakers team. That will get corrected when they have a proper offseason and all that type of thing, but I do think it's a bit of a tough watch right now in the short term here. I'll also turn up the heat a little bit on your boy Dalton Connect, Brace. It's been a tough watch, especially lately. And I think JJ Redick's sort of losing trust in him. So he's kind of become this one-dimensional just shooter and hasn't been good enough as a shooter either. So it wouldn't shock me if push comes to shove when we get to playoff time, if that's a guy that doesn't even really crack the rotation for this Lakers team. But I have had my eye on that. Also throw in a quick prop bet here. Do love Kyle Kuzma over 6.5 rebounds here. This Lakers team extremely vulnerable on the boards. I like the pop that Kuzma provides to this Bucks team. He actually is a guy that has far exceeded my expectations after the trade deadline for what he's bringing there. Really high-level rebounder and a guy who's averaging 6.3 on the season. I think he has a pretty strong performance on the boards tonight, so I'll throw that prop bet out there.
You know what, though? I'm going to push back. Both Dalton Connect and Kuzma, 13.5 on DraftKings. I'm taking Dalton Connect to go over to 13.5. I see you, Sean Barnard. I see you. Dalton Connect's going to respond.
This is a guy that was traded. Like, they literally traded him, and he was on a flight. He already landed in Charlotte.
Hey, look, he was a great college player.
How
I
are you
never thought
supposed
he was
to
going to be in the NBA.
How are you supposed to? He was good to start this year, but how are you supposed to come back when this franchise didn't want you and they shipped him off? And I was at that Sixers-Lakers game.
It's part of being a pro, man, right?
Which is yes, of course. But I was at that Sixers-Lakers game, which, by the way, was the genesis of the whole Bronny, Stephen A. LeBron thing, because that was the game Bronny played where he was a disaster.
Yes.
He was bad.
For whatever he was.
He was horrible. A couple turnovers, targeted defensively. But I was at that game, and Dalton Connect was not good in that game either. And Redick was furious with him, yelling at him,
That's right.
coming out of timeouts. And it was kind of like this Lakers team and they started playing him less. This Lakers team was not happy with him. Then they trade him, and then he has to come all the way back. He's had some good games since he came back, but it's still it's a hard position he's in.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff. All right. As far as tonight's game props, Sam, anything for you in this game?
No props for me in this.
Luka, just to let everybody know, as far as points are concerned, 31.5 without LeBron out there. Giannis at 29.5, Dame 24.5, Austin Reeves 23.5. And so on. DraftKings Sportsbook, where we're getting our numbers from. All right, keeping it moving. As far as tonight's card is concerned, we have two Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors. They're at 6.5. And let's show some love for Zion, who's playing great. Love watching him out there as well. Orlando playoff team. Pelicans not so much, but the Pelicans are 2-point dogs at home. Something tell me about that number there. Pelicans tonight. Sean, I'll start with you here.
All over the Pelicans tonight. Love them on the plus 110 there. This Orlando Magic team has been a really tough watch for me lately. And it really sucks because they're a team that seemed to be taking that next step, looked really strong at the start of the season. They're the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA. And you got to go back over a decade to find a team that is shooting as bad of a percentage as a team as they are. By the way, for all the LaMelo Ball critiques, Paolo Banchero, an even worse true shooting percentage on about the same usage rate there, which is pretty concerning stuff for that. I don't
Who you taking? If I give you
Paolo's a better player, but I do think the point still resides there with you got to get more out of this guy if you're going to be a winning franchise. And the same applies to both these guys, but I didn't have those kind of concerns with Paolo, and now I sort of do. So I don't like at all how this Magic team has looked. I do think Zion Williamson's going to be the best player on the floor tonight. I'm rooting for the Pelicans on an every night basis for a lottery standings at this point. So I think they get a win tonight. I do think they can take down this Orlando team, and I'm hammering the panic button if I'm a Magic fan right now.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, it's tough because the Magic have dealt with so many injuries. Obviously, Paolo was out for a stretch, and Franz was out for a stretch. Those guys finally came back together. Franz was playing great without Paolo. Paolo was playing great with Franz in the beginning. Jalen Suggs has been out for a while now. They just dealt with so many injuries where it's really hard to evaluate this team, because in the beginning of the year, I loved where this team was trending, but Sean's right. They are just a difficult watch. They can't shoot the ball at all. And you thought Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would help with that. You thought Franz Wagner would improve as a three-point shooter, and he has a little bit, but not a whole lot. Paulo still isn't the three-point shooter you want him to be. So it's really this team, they have to become a better shooting team. And Jalen Suggs was a better shooter this year than he has been throughout most of his career. But it's still this team has to become a three-point shooting team. I'm with Sean that I like the Pelicans a lot. They're playing really well. And look, this Pelicans team is they're still talented. Still CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, obviously Zion, Jordan Hawkins is playing a decent amount for them. this Pelicans team is pretty good. The record is so bad because they were just killed with injuries the first 3 months of the season.
Game of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And he's out for the entire year. So they've just been killed with injuries. They're better than their record says. So I like the Pelicans too in this game. I also think that we could have a big CJ McCollum game. Big CJ McCollum game. I think his points were at 18 and a half right now. I'd go over on that.
All right.
And real quick, to set the full stage for how bad of a shooting team they are. As a team, the Orlando Magic are shooting 30.7% from three this season. The next worst is the Washington Wizards, who are shooting 33.3%. So almost 3 whole percentage points higher. For the record here, the league average from all players across the league is 35.8% from three this season. When you look at the Magic roster, their best three-point shooter is Mo Wagner, who's out for the season with a torn ACL at 36%. Their next best healthy player is Cole Anthony at 34.9%. You run down the list here. We're talking about Paolo shooting 31.7, Jalen Suggs 31.4, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was brought in here to be the shooter, 31.1%, Franz Wagner 30.3%. That's just not good enough if you're trying to be a high-level basketball team. And the KCP signing, I did kind of think would help or work, so it is a little disappointing in that regard. But yeah, they're just not good enough as a shooting team.
The Franz thing is really disappointing too, because they gave him a huge extension last summer. And part of it is you wanted him to become a better three-point shooter. The first 2 years of his career, he was around a 35, 36 three-point shooter. Horrible last year at 28%. And then he was better to start the season this year. He was way better. It was around the mid 30s, gets injured, comes back, and it's really just dropped since then. Now, obviously, he's at 30% as a shooter. For him to take the next step, he has to become not an elite, but a good, reliable three-point shooter. And the Magic are banking on that because they just gave him a huge extension.
All right, let's close up shop on this one again. Kings and Warriors tonight. Warriors, they need your attention if you haven't been paying attention to them. 12-1 since Jimmy Butler has joined them. I saw people in Phoenix losing their minds going, see, we should have traded for Jimmy Butler. Would the Suns have turned it around with Jimmy Butler, Sean Barnard?
No, the Suns are a sunk cost, as the financial analyst in me would assess there. I don't think that there's any really turning around that franchise. It will be very interesting what the conclusion of things. And by the way, I will note the Phoenix Suns and Philadelphia 76ers was still the same title odds somehow.
Yeah, I would say that's my point to Sixers fans is just take a look. You think we got a bad? Imagine if you're the Phoenix Suns rolling that roster.
You have a Bradley Beal contract with a no trade clause.
Yeah. All right, so we'll close up shop at this one. 6.5. Once again, Warriors and Kings. Kings in the running for a playoff spot. Of course, the Warriors continue to win a ball games 12-1 since they added Jimmy Butler here tonight. Curry 28, 26.5. Jimmy Butler, 19.5. Sam Oshtry, I'll start with you. A play on the game, and who do you have your eyes on as far as a player perspective?
Yeah, I like Jimmy Butler rebounds. I think this is a good opportunity for the Warriors to kind of dominate the glass against the Kings, and I like Jimmy Butler over 6 rebounds. In terms of the game number, I don't know if I would touch the 6.5. I definitely think the Warriors are going to win, but I don't know if I would touch it. The Warriors are playing great ball. It's everything that we've talked about this entire ride, where Jimmy Butler seamlessly fits in playing alongside Steph Curry. And part of that is because Steph Curry now has so much relief, and he's playing the best basketball of his career. He's playing more off ball. He can operate with Jimmy Butler as a cutter. Draymond Green's playing great alongside Jimmy Butler. The whole operation works for those guys. And now they have Jonathan Kuminga back too. So that's a lot of non-shooting on the floor that we're going to see in the playoffs. So we'll see how those rotations pan out. But this Jimmy Butler thing works. It just made sense from a basketball perspective, even though they paid him a ton of money for the next couple of years. I liked how Steph Curry's been playing, but I like Jimmy Butler over rebounds tonight.
I like it. I do like the Warriors minus 6.5. My favorite player prop would actually be Zach LaVine over 21.5 points there. I kind of like this little rejuvenation that we're seeing from LaVine a little bit. They need scoring, and he's providing it, and is kind of this you could have had me type tour that he's going on. I think he brings that right to Golden State and has a pretty strong performance tonight. It is good that they're getting Jonathan Kuminga back. They need to find a way to see how all these puzzle pieces fit together. So good to actually get a look at that. But I do think ultimately that there is no real trouble for the Warriors tonight, and they do cover that minus 6.5.
All right. Excellent stuff across the board. Sam Oshtry, you can find him on all things socials. Read him at thescore.com. Sean Barnard, same thing. Socials, read him over at DK Network, right? DK Network?
You got it.
Sorry. I just drew a blank on that one with Nation Network. Julian Edlow gave you a nice plug, too, saying you guys are working hard on all things college basketball at this point in time. So get on over there and get all of Sean's content for college hoops and the NBA. Another edition of Picks and Roll in the books. everybody, good luck on those plays. And one winner, Sean Barnard, for tonight.
Brooklyn Nets money line, who we didn't even touch, but no Josh Giddey, no Lonzo Ball for the Bulls. The Bulls are a pretty vulnerable team on the best of circumstances, and the Nets are playing hard. So sign me up for the plus 110 on that as well.
Sam?
It's college basketball season. I'm not betting the NBA. I'm watching every night, but I'm not betting the NBA.
A winner in the
I'm
college.
giving you two.
Oh, two, he
I'm
says.
giving you two. It's Philly teams. Temple -3.5, Villanova +6.5. Ride the hometown teams.
I like that. I'm going to take the Pelicans +2 at home against the Magic. Give me the 2 points. I'll take the points at home. I think they come out on top with the victory in New Orleans. All right, that's going to do it for us. Coming up next, Bending the Edge. McClay and Beef talking all things offense and defensive line. Yeah, out of college football, talking about the prospects coming up for the upcoming NFL draft. Everybody have yourself a wonderful night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bending the Edge is next. Peace.
Our iHeartRadio Music Awards are coming back Monday, March 17th on Fox.
Celebrating